All right, what is happening, everybody? We're back.
Hello.
What's up, panel? We got Masters of the Universe and Human Augmentation Part 2. This is a BOOMA Community STREAMA. You never know where those are going to go because we have a lot of great people on the panel, lots of great conversation. This is number 44 on July 7th, 2026. I want to say what's up to everybody that's showing up. Hey. I saw Sabrina's down in there. JK's here, and JK, you're a gentleman. You allowed us to have this spot. JK will be back, but due to some people's work schedules and getting people on, we wanted to be able to have this panel. So thank you, sir, for giving us this slot. But we'll get JK back for all of you that enjoyed JK. He's a good guy. Blunt Bitch, what's happening? Chelsea in the house. Valerie, what's happening? No. Patrice.
Pet
and then we had Sal coming in early. LJA21. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And then all of you on the Substack. We got the Rumble and the YouTube rocking and rolling. So, star of the show, AMK, looking good on that thumbnail. What are you thinking?
Woohoo!
We had some fun with that.
That's fabulous.
She's muted.
Oh, you're muted, AMK. You're muted. AIM, you're muted. Yep.
I said it's awesome. Thank you very much. I looked that way 20 years ago.
You were in the live chat, I think it was on the last one, and you said you'll come on if I make you sexy like the other ladies on the first thumbnail. I was like, all right, no problem, and it nailed it in the first shot. I was like, dang, she's looking good. I showed it with her, made sure we were all good. So we do have a large panel, but I wanted to highlight that.
So I need to learn not to challenge you so much.
Oh, I'll bring it. I will bring it. But it worked out really well. And I'm glad that you made it here for the second one. And then Dawn D, what's happening?
Howdy. Hi, everybody. Looking forward to the stream today. Should be pretty fun.
Yeah, we'll have lots to discuss. And what's happening, Crystal?
I'm good. I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of great stuff to talk about. We're going to get into a little bit more of the video that kind of sparked this whole thing. And Stranger Than Fiction, talking about the Nephilim, occultism, various things that they do with these superheroes and the way that they portray them. But what's happening, Heather?
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Glad to have you here from the west side. And then I did see that Sabrina did pop in, so everybody say hi to Sabrina.
Hey,
oh,
Sabrina.
yeah, still
Sabrina.
here. What's happening?
Good to see you, babe.
What's happening, Christian 33? Belada, what's happening?
Belada.
Oh gosh, it's good to see all of you here. What is happening, Slamtastic?
Hey, it's pretty quiet down here, so glad to be stepping in for Charlie.
Right. Yeah, Charlie and Crystal kicked this off, but Charlie stepped out for this one for now, and Slamtastic here. It's all good. We get a good panel here. And then we got Mary. What is happening, Mary?
Hey, guys. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it looks great where you're at.
Thanks.
Like, you got good temperatures. Like, it's not overwhelmingly hot where you're at.
Well, it's going to be, but right now, no, it's awesome. I could take this temperature.
Right. Looks pretty
Lovely
great.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. And then you got the hummingbird feeder back there. So hopefully we'll see some hummingbirds.
Yes.
Are they very territorial where you're at? Like as far as your hummingbird feeder goes?
I'll say this, when I was going to my dad's cabin, there was one there that, he named him Pugnacious because that little bugger dive bombed anybody who came near it.
Right.
But they would come so close to you. It was awesome because you can feel the vibration before you ever even see them.
Right. Well, if one starts attacking you, don't take it personally, but I am going to do an extreme close-up just so we catch that on camera. And then we'll pray that you're safe.
I'm not afraid.
But we have one here at the house where it's like it'll get its nectar or whatever, and then it'll go to a tree and we can watch it. It'll be a tree or one of the bushes, and we can still see it. And it just sits there and waits for another one to come over near its freaking like prize. And as soon as another one shows up, the thing is taking off towards it and chasing them away. And they play this like game, but it's very aggressive. It's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that hummingbirds could be so aggressive, but they're also very beautiful. So
My husband keeps battling the barn swallows here because they keep trying to build on our house. So he keeps going over and spraying their nests off the house. So he's like, not on my house. Yeah. he keeps chasing them with a water hose. Like, so funny.
Yeah, I love birds, but I mean, some of them can be a pain in the nest or a pain in the ass where they put their nest. We leave have handmade nests up. It was like, you go there, stay out of the corners and are out of the places on our freaking house. So.
And that's what he's done. He's made nests in our trees for them to go to, but they keep wanting to build above our light and right by our door. And he's like, no.
He's to get your ass in the tree.
Yep.
Where you belong.
He's doing. Yeah, he's spraying them to say, get out of here. Go to your tree.
Exactly. You got it, man. You got to stay on top of them. One bitch is saying that Scotland is rainy, windy, and grim today. Yeah. Hillbilly Heart in Tennessee really got it. They had quite the storm come through. Thankfully, she didn't get hit by a tornado, but they did have tornadoes up there.
New York is really bad and flooded. Long Island was without electricity. They're talking about even Nebraska getting 110 degrees by the end of the week. So people, make sure you're hydrated. You got lots of water. Keep some cell salts or something around. Make sure you're using electrolytes. Eat some salt. Ain't gonna hurt you. It's good for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay hydrated. My throat's a little scratchy. My mom got kind of what you got, Crystal. I think it's something they're spraying, but
I do too. Because I didn't get like this, BOOMA, till I spent like 3 or 4 days for like 4 hours out in the garden, tying up plants and doing stuff. And then just being out there in the heavy humidity, I started getting so sick. And it was not good. I was on the couch flat for like 4 days and just couldn't even get up. And then finally started feeling a little better on Saturday. And I was like, okay, God, thank you. Because I was like, I have to go to a physical on Monday. I can't go in there looking like I got bronchitis and pneumonia. So I'm doing a lot better. I still got crap that's coming up, but that's okay.
Yeah, Europe
We're tough.
We're tough. And then right before the show, I did put on some of your natural balm.
Yeah.
Nice. Makes my skin feel good. And everybody, just so you know, I got links down below. BOOMA community, people that have the Etsy's, and they have various things. Sabrina's, site down below. And then links to Liz, Hillbilly Heart, and Chris 6x7, his wife's Etsy store. So you have options here that are from the community. We like to share those down in the comments, in the description, that is, on the BOOMA community STREAMA. So check those out. It's really good stuff. And the balm that I get from Crystal really helps with my skin. So trying to help out what we can. And JK, it seems like sunshine is everywhere. Every time you ask JK, how you doing? Oh, I'm always doing great. I'm always doing fantastic. He's always doing good. And then where he's at, it's nice today. But he misses Poland. Oh, you're in Ireland? You're back in Ireland? Oh, there you go. Okay, all right. But it's a nice day. JK is always doing well. All right. So back to the discussion on Masters of the Universe and human augmentation. We do have the video.
We're going to watch that video. Let's watch the video so we can talk about it.
So we got it broken up. And let me see if I've got that tag. Charlie broke it up into various sections. If you guys watched the little promo or the little video that I had playing before we came on to the live on this one, it kind of shows you where we're at in the video. The opening's all about, it has like He-Man clips and he starts getting into the discussion. We'll be starting a little bit closer to 5:40, just a little bit before, where he gets into the Nephilim, the doctrine in action, and genetic purity. So there'll be a discussion to be had there. I'll just let it play. If anybody wants me to stop, just holler, or I'll take the initiative and just kind of stop somewhere if it seems like a good place to have a discussion, if you will.
And you guys remember this film that he's highlighting, that the old part of the film is really old. That's from the probably late 80s. It's very old. So it was a different time, different perspectives, but still a lot of it still is applicable to today. So
right, the discussion that was being
started the whole satanic panic.
Right.
Unfortunately, they called it satanic panic, but it was really going on. There was SRA, there was DARPA testing. That was their great cover to keep from helping anybody and keeping everybody quiet. That's what they always do. So
that's exactly what Sabrina is fighting right now, and why she gets so upset sometimes. And people, if you actually understood what's going on, and I've watched these operatives work, it's why I call out grifters and the people in the truther community, because they gaslight or they push you towards narratives that don't really exist. I mean, Wano, Sav, and Gene Decode, and some of these fools were saying years ago that we're almost at 80%. Once we have 80%, then it's going to come public, and everybody's going to know, and the White Hats are going to take control, and everybody's going to know the truth, and they're going to play the EBS, all that shit.
They're going to burn in hell for all the damage they've done.
Right. And so now we're dealing with gaslighting that's involving MK Ultra, which is old and still stuff to talk about, I guess, when it comes to what happened back in the day. But they're pushing it out now to get people to pay attention to that instead of the biodigital convergence, human 2.0, and human augmentation, which we'll get into on this one. And what has happened.
That's been going on for a very long time.
Right. And Veronica Rabbit, we got to get you back on too. You got to join one of these panels. Get you on the reunion or something. Deployment does not yield to delusion. Exactly. Pay attention to the deployment, not what's pushed as narratives. And so distraction, fear, obedience. Exactly. That's the game plan, and that's what we're up against. We'll take
Sadly,
a look at
that's why I don't think they'll ever talk about it in a today form, because they like to spin everybody's wheels on what happened 40 years ago. And even then, those people aren't getting anything out of it, you know? So it's just dumb.
It is. All right, let's get into this. And this is linked down below. So this is The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction on YouTube. The Nephilim are not genetic hybrids. Let's get into this. He talks about He-Man. And like I said, let's get into some of this material and we'll have a discussion going forward.
So 44 years after the first He-Man toys hit the shelves in 1982, they come out with another Masters of the Universe film. Seems like it's kind of a flop in terms of the box office, but that's not really the point of talking about this. Not here to do a movie review so much as a doctrinal review, I think. And He-Man, actually, I realized as I was watching that little compilation that they put together from this discernment ministry from the 80s talking about the He-Man toys. By the way, apparently there's like a longer version of it. A friend of mine was saying that he's seen the whole thing, but wasn't able to find it. So if anybody has a link, if you could find me like the full version of that, that show that was talking about He-Man and all the occult symbolism, I'd love to watch the whole thing. But, whoever made that clip was trying to kind of do it as an example of the cringiness of, like 80s satanic panic kind of talking points. But I'm watching it going, yeah, I mean, they're pretty much right on. The occult heroes and normalizing all kinds of ideas from witchcraft to a very young generation in the 1980s. It really was kind of the beginning of an era where, all of our Saturday morning cartoons were full of magic and witchcraft and spells and all kinds of stuff. So as corny as He-Man is, I think it's actually kind of the perfect example when it comes to this topic of the Nephilim, which I think I mentioned in my last video, that has been popularized, with the Book of Enoch and Genesis 6, and, starting with guys like Chuck Missler and then Tom Horn, Michael Heiser, all of whom are passed away now. And I'm not trying to get into them specifically, but this whole recent phenomenon about Enoch and Genesis 6 and the debate over, the sons of God and all this stuff, it's something that I was made aware of 15 or so years ago, kind of when I started looking into a lot of different things in like the Bible prophecy, conspiracy realm. And so for a long time, I was pretty much in line with that whole, typical kind of breakdown of all those people I just mentioned. And the idea that the Nephilim were some kind of hybrid race between fallen angels and human women and all this stuff. And for a number of reasons that have kind of developed over the years, I've gradually come to, first question that interpretation of Genesis 6 and, but also see it in kind of a larger context. A lot of it having to do, I guess, with just seeing the fruits of it. It's one thing to present kind of your elevator pitch or the sales pitch of a doctrine or of an idea on paper. And it's another thing to kind of see how those doctrines play out, over time in the lives of people and how they relate to other doctrines and like, where do they really come from? A lot of the things that are not so obvious, a lot of questions that are not so apparent per se when you're looking at it for the first time. So it has an idea on paper, and it's another thing to kind of see how those doctrines play out, over time in the lives of people and how they relate to other doctrines and like, where do they really come from? A lot of the things that are not so obvious, a lot of questions that are not so apparent per se when you're looking at it for the first time. So it has been a process of questioning this stuff. It didn't happen all overnight. But essentially, I now see that rather than the idea of the Nephilim being a genetic hybrid of fallen angels and humans, personally, I now believe that it is much more akin to what you saw at the beginning of every He-Man cartoon opening, which basically explained this whole concept of this regular guy, Adam, interestingly enough, being infused with occult power, magical power. He calls upon the power of Grayskull, and we all did this when we were little boys and girls watching He-Man and She-Ra, and swords were cool, so anything with a sword, a power sword, was, a great hook for little boys and girls. But right, he calls on the power of Grayskull, and the lightning comes down and shoots into the sword. The sword is kind of like the conduit for the power that then makes him strong and brave and, a hero of renown. So as a lot of people want to say, but yeah, what about the sons of God taking daughter? It's clearly talking about fallen angels having children with women. And I understand that whole argument, and I'm not subscribed to the Sethite theory, as it's called. I'm not saying it was just humans having children with other humans and that would create giants, because, that doesn't make any sense either. But what I've come to kind of realize is that there's still a lot of assumptions, particularly when it comes to like the Book of Enoch and people who want to, kind of walk this whole fine line of, well, we don't think Enoch is scripture, but it's still, informative and can help us understand, so they kind of like want to have it both ways, where it's like, we don't want to affirm it as scripture. Some people do just flat out say like they kept it out of the Bible. But I think as I've learned more about Kabbalah and how historically the Kabbalist perspective on Enoch and other quote-unquote Second Temple Jewish literature, which is a sort of peculiar term that Heiser loved to say all the time, which essentially now I would just say is Jewish mysticism, because that was when a lot of the first writings on Jewish mysticism were circulating, was in the Second Temple period. So that's where all this stuff about, Azazel and the fallen angels being sort of the primary focus of whatever was going on in Genesis 6. Whereas you read it, like, it says these were the heroes of old, the men of renown, right? They were men. So all this stuff about demons being the offspring of fallen angels and humans, to me, that's a whole false construct. You really don't need to come up with some explanation for where did demons come from, as if they have to be something categorically different than fallen angels. Because we could all agree that Satan, Lucifer, is a fallen angel, right? Who nevertheless was capable of possessing a human host, particularly in scripture where we see that he possessed Judas when he betrayed Jesus. Similarly, in the Gospels, we see when Jesus encounters the Gadarene demoniac and he casts out the legion of demons into the herd of swine, the man who was possessed had superhuman strength, right? Because he was possessed by all these demons. And he wasn't even some giant guy. He was just a normal-sized guy, but he could break out of iron chains and he could not be subdued, which is pretty amazing that he just lived off in the wilderness outside of town and they could hear him howling and acting like a wild man. So those are two undeniable scriptural references that we can make about the demonic realm and fallen angels, which are spirits who nevertheless can possess human beings, men and women. We have other examples as well, but the concept of demonic possession is pretty straightforward. And yet somehow when it comes to Genesis 6 and whatever was going on with the Nephilim, we have this entire, mythology, which has been developed and talking about for many centuries. As I said, it's, look it up for yourselves. But the idea that the Nephilim being a cross between humans and angels, it's discussed in the Zohar and in Talmudic Judaism many, many centuries ago. So I know some people want to argue that that doesn't mean that it's necessarily coming from Talmudic Judaism, but, show me where biblical scholars were talking about the Nephilim being the source of demons, or the idea of genetic. I think this is what it should be really telling for all of us. And I apologize, my voice is kind of raspy today, but it's really not difficult to see how the idea of people who are genetically inferior or genetically compromised or just genetically the idea of Noah being pure in his generations, that's a genetic reference rather than the idea that Noah and his lineage, his family line, was not participating in the wickedness of the world around them, that they were upright and faithful to God. You can see how the whole idea of genetic purity connected to the modern Jewish Talmudic interpretation of scripture, it's not really difficult to kind of see why that would play into their theology. Let's put it that way. Their eschatology in terms of the Goyim and the Noahide laws and all that. I do definitely think there is a connection there. And it sort of introduces this idea that there's this concept of genetic purity into the biblical framework.
Just as...
All right, I think that's a good place to pause for now before this guy gets into his presentation here. So a lot of interesting things were discussed, a lot of things that we can, let me pull this down for just a second until we get back to it so we can have a discussion here. I'll open it up to anybody that has something to say right away. What do you got, Crystal? I know you probably got some things to say. You're muted, just so you know.
I actually think it's both. I think it can be with genetics, and it can be with electricity and light sound perturbation, like Sabrina talked about, because we already know that's what they're doing now. But we also know they're adding genetic material into the human genome all the time. They're making medications out of other genetic material from other animals. They're using different things. They're also using genetic material from animals to make certain types of superhuman capabilities. So I think it's both. And I think to discount the Talmud and Kabbalah totally doesn't make sense, because then you'd have to discount quantum mechanics, because there's a whole lot of Kabbalah. It just is. It's math in quantum mechanics. So for that reason, I think you have to include both. I think both were going on. And I actually do believe that the Book of Enoch was something we were supposed to read. But that's just because of my relationship with God and him leading me to it, because I wasn't looking for it at all. And so, and after I read it, just doing more detailed research on what they're doing in science and what they're already doing even 25 years ago with gene therapy and gene manipulation. And I know somehow also, I believe that the heavy metals also, they are also part of that same thing, using the metals. And they do, you're right. They use pig heart valves all the time for human hearts because there's very little rejection. So they don't have to take rejection meds. I know, because my daughter has had 3 valve replacements. So
what do you make of mRNA technology? And just so everybody knows, Crystal's in the nursing field, so she gets to see some of this.
I don't like it. I don't like anything that we know is very much manipulating the natural resonance or DNA frequency of the body. And that is beyond manipulation. And when they're doing that, they're opening a Pandora's box, because they're not also realizing that even if they make this change, let's say they're hacking the software of life, they're not able to foster epigenetics around that person the rest of their life and other things that are going to influence their genes, which we are all influenced by. So they have no idea in the long term what that's going to do to that person. They just don't. They can say they do, but they don't. They do not have enough.
You don't think somewhere they've done this for years, secretly?
I do believe they have, yes. And I believe that was the whole thing about, the fallen angels coming into women. That was an old way of doing it. But it's no different than what we hear about people that are abducted and have fetal tissue removed from their body, or have ovum and sperm removed from their body. It's still playing with genetic material of mankind with other things. And I also believe there is a program of trying to get some people that are more from the fallen angel realm into this realm operating as humans. I do believe that's part of it, because otherwise there wouldn't be a UFO deception right now and all the other crazy going on. That's all by design. So at least to me it is. But I do believe you don't have to have genetic material. I believe they can do it just through light, sound, and perturbation. Micro voltage If it can regrow bone, if it can differentiate cells, it can change the body. It doesn't have to have anything else in it.
Right. Well, and you said Pandora's box, so Mike Gill and Stacey are going to clip that part and say that you were talking about him because he's a hybrid narcissist.
Oops.
Mike Gill might be an alien himself. He's a fucking psycho.
Truth.
He thinks everything's about him. He thinks he got Trump elected or whatever. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out because just like real Colin Wise, anytime Pandora box is said, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Mike's going to say we're talking about him. Fuck that guy. Anyways, getting back to the conversation, they're also doing mRNA with our animals.
Yes.
So even we got all of the feral cats even trapped and fixed, except the one, Stripes, who ended up unfortunately passing away because of FIP. Chip is doing good. We only know about that because of him. So his sacrifice will not be in vain. But they all got, even the feral ones, got anti-parasitics and mRNA rabies shots. So they put in, and then they do that to all the cats. So like if you want to have a cat, a lot of places you have to like, I think you have to register them or something like that. But then if you want to get them like taken to a vet, just like here, like humans going to the doctor and whatnot, there are certain protocols that if you don't follow, you don't get the right care. You don't get good care. You don't get treated the same. Same with animals. They're doing something to the animals right now, and it's kind of freaky.
Yeah, I cringe every time I have to bring my dogs to the vet because I do give them shots and have for years before I even realized half this stuff was going on. And I just have one, like when I see some of the, I don't know if they're true, but different things that are in this mRNA shots. Like, why do we need fetal tissue in anything? Why do we need it in our cosmetics? Why do we need it in these shots? What is it? What is the purpose of it? Right. We don't, right?
We don't. And that's they have a purpose. Right. They want to create a different temple because we are the temple.
Exactly.
So they want to change the temple of God. They know that the Holy Spirit dwells in us and God gives us the living spirit of being a live human. And for that reason, they don't want the temple to have the image of God that God's placed on our DNA, because that's literally written into our genes, which is why I do believe in DNA. Because when you count out the phosphate and you go through and you count, it literally spells Yod-He Vav-He, Yod-He Vav-He over and over. 10565, 10565, 10565. It literally spells that in the DNA. They don't want that. Abby's right about that. And when they changed it with the software of life and Moderna's thing, when you went through and read their patent, it did say that it would change it to a triple strand DNA and it would make it 1056665 because it changed the amount of phosphate groups.
Right. So, and some of this stuff is stuff that JK has talked about when you break down Moderna. It's mode RNA.
Truth.
They're telling you.
It's also messenger RNA. And what are messengers, Booma?
Right.
So I've thought about that too, because it is in the words. It always is. So I've thought about that too. But just the idea, it's just good to know that we need to understand it can be done with genetic material. It can be done without, and I think that's what people have to understand is that this is really a balance, which is why Sabrina's always saying, don't over detox, don't overdo things. Clean water, clean food, good living, do the best you can, because you can actually set your body in a whole lot of a state of hurt just by overdoing too much at one time. And all of us, if we're over 18, we're loaded with metals. We're loaded with everything because we're breathing, we're drinking. There are no pure bloods anymore.
Exactly.
That's a joke.
Yeah. I used to refer to myself as that, but then, I look up in the sky and I see the chemtrails and they're getting to us one way or the other.
Right.
I
also believe, though, this is why Jesus said in the Bible that if he didn't return early, there'd be no flesh left alive. When you look up that word in the Greek, it's talking about human flesh, being a human, because I believe they can change someone to a point that they're no longer more human. And at that point, who knows what happens to the soul? I'm not the one that's in charge of that. I just know it don't sound good because Jesus died for humans. He did.
Yeah, right.
So
pure blood basically just means that we didn't take the COVID jab.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And they're putting in
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say they're putting it in other forms and into your food and into your supplements and
Yes.
into all of your things.
What
so like
about
it's in
Ozempic?
the non-medical ingredients, and some of the supplements I'm taking, which I didn't even realize had silicon dioxide in there. So
Right.
are they already finding other ways to get it into your body, even if you didn't take the injections?
And how long have
they
they
are.
been putting titanium dioxide and silicon dioxide? For
Forever.
at least 30 years that I know of personally, they've been putting those non-needed things into vitamins and supplements. And then there's the protein folding aim that you're talking about.
Yeah.
With all, you can't even open YouTube without seeing Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro.
Oh, yeah.
Every single
Here's the thing.
one.
I know people who refused the COVID vaccine, but they're now getting this to lose weight.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you
you're getting it one
thinking?
way or the other.
So
No
yeah, if
stone
they didn't
unturned.
get you that way, they'll get you this way. Everybody wants to be thinner.
It was just easier for them if we just voluntarily, because you have to sign something.
Exactly. Oh,
They're
So
not
it's
making them
one
sign
more
for those
closing
push-ups,
the
though.
loopholes for them.
They're not making them sign when they take Ozempic and Mounjaro. They're handing out samples in the doctor's office.
yeah. They're
Now
right.
you
That's
don't even
insane
need
to
it.
me.
Now you can get a pill. You can get a pill that's a protein folding pill made by hers or hims. They have them online. You don't have to see a doctor. You can just call on the phone and they'll give you a quickie appointment, quickie script. And I'm not saying they're the same. They're not quite the same as the RNA technology, but they're definitely not good. It's still changing. And so the more research I've done on those things, they're scary to me. I didn't understand them at first because I hadn't really looked into them. But then when they made them such a big deal to where you cannot go online without seeing an ad, you cannot turn on a TV anywhere without seeing it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything being pushed so hard. So, but they're playing on men's weaknesses because men want to be, and women, they want to be skinnier. They want to be healthier. Healthy's a lot of that because nobody feels healthy anymore. Because everybody.
Yeah, but a lot of people feel like being healthy is just being like thin, like looking good in a swimsuit.
Exactly, because they've been socially
all about
engineered.
appearance. It has nothing to do with inside,
Bingo.
like how you're feeling.
Right.
No,
They've
and
been
care about
socially
that as long as you
engineered to
look good on the
believe that,
outside.
Heather. We think that if you're skinny and you got little cheekbones and no wrinkles, that's healthy, but it's not. Okay.
Right. Because you have
Right.
no idea what's going on the inside of that body.
No.
How much makeup they have to cake on their face too, or how
Yes.
filter.
And look
the
at
plates.
Hollywood now. Look at how bad they look. They look like The Walking Dead, seriously.
They do.
Yeah.
They're like
And
skeletons with
they
skin on them.
are.
They're all plastic looking.
Yeah, they are not.
Yes.
And
And
their
they
bones
love
are
it. That's
sticking
the
out.
thing. That's
Right.
what they're striving to look like now. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I will tell you one. I've got my AC going on in here. Is that bothering
You're
anybody?
fine. I have mine going too. It's too hot not to.
It's
I
not
will
bad.
tell you one winter, we had this really wet snow coming down, and I have a black car, and I went out to go somewhere. It wasn't anything that I really needed to sweep the snow off of, but I noticed the streaks that it was making. The snow was rainbow colored, like it was oil, like motor oil that you see on blacktop pavement.
Wow.
Clouds have that.
Pardon?
If you look up, the clouds
Yes.
have that.
Yes, it does, and rings around the sun. It does.
Yep.
I noticed that.
Yep.
One winter too, with my sunglasses, I'm like, "What is that rainbow around those clouds?" I can see. I thought there was something special with me, right? No,
Like
no,
11,
it's just their.
Well, there is. You are special.
Thank you, Heather. So are you.
Right. And Veronica
Ready for robots.
in the chat, yes, the plastic look is getting you ready for
Yeah.
robots because the robots
Exactly.
will have that plastic look. They also talk about that in cloning. We don't need to necessarily get into that but that does go into some of the genetic manipulation that was going on the days of Noah that someone else pointed out that
You don't
we
even
very
know
well
the
could be seeing
difference.
the same shit that was going on before God decided to flood the world. Regardless of what you believe, you can look at and see that there was major flood. As far as the plastic and all this stuff goes in Hollywood and the way that they're pushing this kind of stuff out, yeah, both in the productions and then the people that are being used for the productions. It's interesting because I really think that like the actors and actresses that we've seen up to this date will probably live on in AI forever. And we'll see how they make more celebrities and stuff, because more of the celebrities in this world, the way that it is in more modern times, is the social media influencers, Mr. Beast, people like that are curating hundreds of millions of freaking people, or at least millions of people watching their content, and they're doing it regularly as opposed to a 5-year production movie coming out every once in a while by some of these beautiful faces, as they keep trying to put plastic on their face in order to look like they were when they were like 40, even though some were 70 and 80 now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but we got that kind of manipulation. We've got the transgender manipulations where they're nipping and tucking, and they're cutting, and they're mutilating.
Also, the wellness spas that Charlie was talking about, Booma, are huge everywhere, especially in like Southern Florida, all over California. Every time I have a friend that owns one, okay, and I had some things frozen on my face, but no drugs, just liquid nitrogen basically, and had a little bit of surface removal because I had a really bad brown spot, right? But every single person walking in there wanted Botox. They wanted a banana bag, Botox, and usually 2 or 3 other fillers for their face. Or they wanted to move fat from one place in their face to another. So, nobody's happy with who they are at all. It's very sad. It is.
I have a confession to make. Back in 2022, I had filler and Botox done. And it was the only time I had it done. But I will tell you, that was like in April of 22. By September of that year, I was losing my hair. My hair was literally breaking off and thinning so bad, and it still has never been the same. I do take, unfortunately, minoxidil. I do topical minoxidil, but that was when I noticed it happened. And that wasn't the reason I stopped taking it. I hated it. I was so glad that I had a mask on my face all day, because I'm like, oh, I hate this. I hate this look. So I let it wear off, and I had problems with my hair, and I've had problems ever since.
I just don't understand how putting botulism in our face
is good. Right?
I mean, there are cases medically. I've known some people who were quadriplegics, paraplegics, that had horrible spasms to where it would throw them into different types of syndromes that you don't even want to know about, that are very bad and can kill them, right? And bottom line, those type of things were good because they could give them botulism in a certain muscle group. It would calm it down for 6 months, and they would get relief. And at least I could see the medical necessity for that, because it kept them from going into one of these hyper syndromes where their blood pressure goes super high and they're not even aware it's coming on, because they're not aware of where the spasm's at. It's just happening on its own. And that happens. So I could see a medical necessity for it, but just to put it in your face or just to get rid of a wrinkle. But I mean, Aim, you're not alone. They talked Jerry into at the doctor's office 2 years ago into trying those shots because he had gotten heavy, and he tried those shots and he brought them home. He convinced me, because Brianna had a nurse practitioner, my daughter, she had a nurse practitioner who would just prescribe it for you. So I didn't want him taking the Mounjaro. So when I looked at them, and I didn't do a deep dive at that time, I was just running through because I was working, right? I told him Zepbound, of all the ones I looked at, looked the best if he was going to do it. And he was convinced he wanted to try it. So he tried 4 shots. I did 4 with him. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it felt. It took all my appetite away. All of it. Like, I had no appetite. And not just that, changed the texture of my hair. 4 shots. And that's been 3 years ago. So, and then I started looking into everything Sabrina was saying about protein folding. And my mind was blown. And I knew it was doing more than they were saying, because Jerry, he always has to worry about his liver enzymes. He's just got one of those livers that doesn't like things, right? Even something simple like taking kratom or taking Tylenol, he has to think about, right? So because of that, I noticed right off from the bat, he took one of those injections. Sure, he lost like 20 pounds in 4 shots, right? I mean, he lost really good. I lost like 7, I think, during that time. But like, he would walk around chewing his jaw like somebody on speed. Didn't do that to me, did that to him. And I was like, no, you're messing with your liver. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be doing that, because he doesn't usually do that. Okay. Right. So We were like, nope, no more. And then I really did a deep dive of all the stuff Sabrina was talking about with the protein folding, and realized that that's where it's going. And then it wasn't even as important as it is now. Like now, literally, they're pushing the GLPs on even teenagers. I'm seeing 15-year-olds talking about taking it. I mean, they're not even physically grown or mature in their body, and they want to go ahead and alter their neural pathways and their liver. So I just, I'm blown away by it. I never thought it would get to be this big an epidemic, but socially, the way we're engineered, it makes sense because we're engineered not to like anything about ourselves.
Well, there's also, you have Instagram and Facebook and all the social media sites that really emphasize beauty and perfection, and that's what people strive for. Yes. I mean, it's a lot of competition out there, and these people aren't real. I used to tell my kids, don't worry about what people post. They aren't posting the days or showing pictures of taking selfies of them on the days that they have a big zit on their face, or they're a crying mess because their boyfriend broke up with them. They're only posting the good times, and it's not a big picture of what's really going on.
Right. Not only are people are putting like their best face on or whatever, even when they're going through shit or emotional trouble, to make themselves feel good and get praise from the likes and the love and the comments that they get or whatnot. But the ads that they're showing us now, talking about plastic-faced Hollywood stars, now you have ads that are really AI people that look even more plastic and perfect in the sense of like a He-Man or something like that, that perfect body. You're seeing AI, and some people can't discern it yet, or aren't paying the close enough attention to see that this is a fucking AI video created that makes some Asian guy look like he is a masterful Tai Chi fucking master selling you some fucking course or some crap. And he's not even a real person.
It's not real.
That video Sabrina showed us, Booma, that talked about like the woman who wasn't real, who was supposedly a belt buckle master, and she was doing all these arts and crafts. People were going and buying belt buckles from that Instagram page. It wasn't even a real woman. It was all AI, and they were literally sending out things that are like Temu belt buckles, but they were saying they were masterfully crafted. That blew my mind on how many people aren't real on Instagram. There's really no telling. Like,
there was a kid, a young boy. I don't know if he was even over 18 or not. Anyways, he knew how to leverage AI, and so you can put these in-time filters. And so I don't know if it's all recorded, some live, or if it's all recorded videos. But basically, he can do what I'm doing right now. But he created a woman to look all vivacious, big old titties, whatever you want to say, made her look gorgeous, put her on OnlyFans, and made $40,000 in one month.
Yeah.
Had one guy that gave $2,000 in donation to an AI fake woman. This kid was pretending to be. I can talk
digital booty. Voice. That's what I'm gonna start calling it.
This AI will change it to this woman's voice based on how he set the parameters to make her as, I guess, attractive as possible, and he fucking made $40,000 in one
40
month.
grand, Booma, off digital booty. That's what I call it. It's just too much. It's too much.
I mean,
some people get because some porn is turning into AI porn.
You're right.
You don't
smart kid, like he didn't personally do it. So part of me's going, "What a smarty pant!" But
I know. Well, that's back in the day. Before I knew all this shit, and I was a kid. I mean, like, hey, good on you, bro. Man, you kicked some ass. I don't know how it came out, though, and I don't know what kind of repercussions they're going to have, but how are they going to catch that shit?
They can't do anything to him because he didn't really do anything wrong. He presented an image.
Well, that's why they're gonna make it so that it's illegal for kids that age to be on any of these social platforms, and you're gonna have to show your ID, and you're gonna be tracked. That's
when I was 18, I looked forward to being able to buy chew so I could have some chewing tobacco and shit. Now kids are going to turn 18, they're going to look forward to creating an AI on OnlyFans and some of the whatever site that exists in the near future. Similar, and they're going to have an AI chick, and sometimes they'll probably even be honest about it. I am a fully AI chick that'll do anything that you want.
Yeah.
Who knows who's behind this AI filter? But if you still enjoy it, please drop a tip in there, and they'll still get money. It'll be quite the competition, though. The field's going to change. But what is this? What is a bottom party? Do you guys know?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to
know. I think it's when they get bottom surgery and then they have a party, like, like you would like a a party, a coming out party, or a
Gender reveal,
or gender, yeah, something like that.
Oh my god.
She said ginger reveal.
Literally revealing.
That's hilarious.
oh my
Maybe
gosh.
it's where they get like Botox in their booties and they're like showing off their like big old Kim Kardashian booties that are fake, or the Nicki Minaj
Right.
fake booties. Oh
Yes,
god,
but you
Nicki
have
Minaj
to-
has taken it to a level where it's like that thing is like an entity in itself, not like a living thing. It's like a
But it
dead
doesn't even look
fucking-
good. That's the
No.
stupid
I
part.
think it becomes an addiction for at some point. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like people
The
get addicted to
modification.
doing plastic surgery or even tanning or whatever. It's like you can't get dark enough. You
Yeah.
know, it's just to yourself. You criticize yourself so much that you don't see what other people see.
Right.
But
It's like all the other addictions. Like some people get really addicted to tattoos. Next thing you know, they've
Yes.
covered their entire
Right.
face,
Right.
head, and everything in tattoos. Or the ones that put metal balls underneath their skin, or the ones that look like literal cats.
Dermal implants, yeah.
Right.
right.
I saw an
And they
AI
file their
video.
teeth and shit.
There was
That's
an
another.
there was an AI video made, and then some of them were like kind of celebrities, but more known online, and they were just beautiful looking people. And the ways that they had altered themselves was absolutely disgusting. And sex bots will kill OnlyFans because that's what they're preparing us for,
Yeah.
is to have like intimate relationships with robots that will do whatever we want them to, as opposed to dealing with human emotions.
Right.
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure I trust the needles and what's going on?
I think bottom parties is the thing. So it's funny that you accidentally put bottom parties. You meant Sam meant Botox and P01. But I think brought up a good point. I think bottom parties might be a legit thing.
That's funny.
It's too funny.
And Heather knew
Yes!
what it was too. That's
They do
hilarious.
perennial sunning, butthole sun tanning at the booty parties.
Maybe that's what a bottom party actually is. I was just speculating.
Taint
And
tanning.
there are Botox parties. People do that.
Look, if there wasn't bottom parties, now there will be. Just because
Exactly.
it's going out there onto the internet, it'll travel, it'll catch, and it was because of Sam in the live chat, all because of a misspelling and a mistype. Now there's going to be things called bottom parties if they weren't there already.
We're starting a trend.
Starting
a trend. That's
And then I'm going to tell them the internet of booty beads.
That's too
And
funny.
I mean, you see it in some of the shows, like some of there was a show that was supposed to be about real estate, and these freaking consultants are doing Botox parties at their freaking open houses. And I'm like, what the f- is this? Like, what? But it's so stupid. But
I love this community. There's stuff going on the panel, and there's comments that are being made that are absolutely brilliant. This is why, but that sounds shitty. Not likely to make it if I feel like I feel like ass.
Well, if you don't feel like ass, you
Oh my
certainly go out to the party.
Hey, if you feel like ass, that's time for a booty party.
I'll let
are you
know.
gonna add your booty beads in there too?
Yeah, that's how. Okay, now that you started that, Sam T01. Now that it's out in the ether of the
Yes.
internet and it's going to spread socially,
It
that
is.
set me up to sell Booma's Internet of Booty Beads. This connects your
Started
ass
here.
proud.
It started here first. Remember that, folks.
Right. There you are, the founder, Sam T01. You started it, Sam.
That's great.
And it's documented. The internet's forever. Everybody's going to remember the Masters of the Universe Human Augmentation Part 2, BOOMA Community Streamer number 44 on July 7th, 2026 was the start of bottom parties. And season 1. Well done, all because of a mistype. It took off like wildfire.
That's so funny.
All right.
Where were we?
If
They
anybody
knew
wants
it
to
would
jump
end up
in.
there at some point, right?
As Kylie said, if you're anything with Booma, you're talking about the booty. It's coming up. The ass I'm going to be talking about on one of the streams. It's just what he said. And it wasn't me. It wasn't even his. Crack booty people. Maybe this is a bottom party. The Booma party bus is a bottom party.
You're gonna have to change the title.
Yeah, booty. What are we gonna call it? Bottom party community streamer.
There you go.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay, let's try to get back into what this video is about, what we're talking about here. So I do have some notes and whatnot that I made, but this guy, the guy that's behind Stranger Than Fiction, he points out, we just went through the Nephilim, genetic manipulations, but he's also pointing out some of the occult symbolism, like in these cartoons that also become movies and figurines and become their own little, like, I think it started in early 80s.
Yes.
He-Man started like an 82 or something like that as a cartoon, and then a toy line, and
followed by Thundercats, and what else was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
That was my jam. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my jam. But in this segment, he talks about how Grayskull's power is sourced from an indwelling demon spirit. So that's something to think about. I mean, the power of Grayskull, and then lightning or technology, electromagnetism or whatever, goes into his sword, and he becomes the strongest in the universe, or whatever it is, whatever they phrase it. Skeletor's ram's head staff is framed as a satanic occult symbol. So you're getting children used to these occultic symbols. And then a general claim of sensuality in character presentation and costuming. Now, of course, part of this is creativity, but part of this is also just kind of mocking, in a way, what they do with this stuff, because now we can play their game too, and maybe attract more people to have this discussion that might not have any idea what we're talking about when it comes to interpretation. But the ways that they create these characters, it's all of them. They all look really muscular, masculine, feminine. But if you noticed in some of the video that he showed from the actual new movie they put out, the Adam character, which is something else we need to talk about, Crystal, so be prepared to that. They named He-Man, or He-Man's actual name is Adam.
Yep.
Look at the Bible, first man, Adam. That's interesting. Adam, A-T-O-M. There's also that aspect of certain things they're putting out there with wordplay. But he basically gets turned into a superhuman, but he's sitting in, before that, he's sitting in a desk in this movie, and his pronouns are what's on there. It's not his name, Adam. It's he, him. And he's He-Man. So now they've taken He-Man and merged it with the pronoun.
Social engineering again.
Right, social engineering. Transgenderism, LGBTQ, blah, 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 just never stops. They're putting it into the movie now so that everybody gets inclusive. And here pretty soon, superheroes are going to start looking more androgynous. Some of them, I think, already have.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. He-Man is a great example on another reason why we cued in on this, and I'm glad that Stranger Than Fiction, Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, covered it. He-Man's name was Adam, or is a fictional character, of course. What do you think of that, Crystal?
I think it's the truth. I think they do it on purpose. I do. I believe they do a lot of it on purpose, just because it goes by and most people don't pay attention to it. I mean, we don't live in a society where people are thinking in those terms. So, I mean, most people don't pay attention to it. They actually use that term for man in a lot of programs and stuff too, not just in He-Man. They use Adam as like a human in a lot of different things I've seen. Also in different types of software in games, I've seen it too. So I think it just is. It's used. It's the perfect one because it is mankind. And at the same time, it can be genetic. They can intersperse that word either way. So, and I do believe there's an occultic reason or a hidden reason why they do that, for sure.
Right. And these are archetypes that they've put throughout history and different stories all throughout human known history, or what we think of as history.
Yes.
A lot of stuff also changed around, and we don't need to get into this too deep, but like Shakespeare. Whoever Shakespeare really was, whether it was Sir Francis Bacon, Freemasonry, or whatnot, they changed a lot. There was a lot of artistic writing, a lot of things to learn from with the various pieces that were written and then plays that were done. But at that time, a lot of males played female characters.
True.
Males played male characters and female characters. And
that went on in Greek theater too, and Roman theater. Mm-hmm.
And so people are pointing out in the chat, Megan Fox being one that's very sus on having that big old Adam's apple, and whether or not we're seeing it with Hollywood characters. You got plastic face characters that may be that actual gender, but you also have a lot of people that could have been changed from birth or even in the
Right.
womb, given certain hormones before they were born, and
Right.
bred and groomed to be the people that they put on this world stage, and that we fall in love with somebody that's actually the same sex. So it really confuses our minds psychologically about what we're attracted to, because if you're not aware of it and you're attracted to someone like Megan Fox as a heterosexual male, you're still being manipulated by the obvious, when you look down at it or you look at it, the skull shapes, in which they can shave and they can do lots of things, the collarbones, whether or not they have an Adonis belt, various things that are all masculine traits, and then you have the female traits. But it's just like Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret is that it's actually a victor. And it's a
Which
bunch
is
of males
crazy.
that don't gain all that weight on their hips, so they look like they have long, skinny legs as they walk down that thing, fake boobs that they've had put in them, and all the surgeries that they've done to change their bodies.
It's
All
almost
this shit, whether psychological, social, physical, all of this shit, spiritual. A lot of people, Chelsea was saying, we haven't been purebred or purebloods ever, because we also talked about this in the Bible study.
Yes.
We have a certain amount of Nephilim genetics in us from early on.
We absolutely could. We don't know at this point. We're all Heinz 57s.
That's right.
We're talking how many generations since then. So we don't know. We just don't know. You know.
Yep.
Well, how far did they go to hiding the giants or the giant skulls or any of that in our so-called history, right? I mean, they find the skulls and they find the giant swords all the time, and yet they turn around and they hide all of that knowledge from history.
The Smithsonian comes and grabs anything.
I was going to say.
Away. Yep. And people
100%.
will still call them. It's like, if you find something in your back 40, don't call the Smithsonian. Don't call your government. Don't say anything. Just keep it if you're interested, because you won't have it long. And they do that not just in America. They do that all over
the world.
Everywhere.
Was it Afghanistan or Iraq? I've heard of that.
Yes.
I can't remember which it was.
Down by the Aztecs and stuff, there was a lot of stuff dug up. Steve Quell had a whole bunch of people go down there, had one Hispanic guy lead it. They were using deep ground radar to go down by some of the temples and everything in southern Mexico. And they were digging up these huge stones, basically complete stories that showed UFOs coming down and having sex with their women, cutting hearts out of people's bodies and holding it up to the sky. All these really old artifacts that they were digging 6, 7, 8 feet down to get.
Mm-hmm.
Same story, different genre, different century, different generation, being worshipped as gods because they come from the sky. They don't know any better.
Right.
And we now know they have the ability to manipulate every bit of perception. Your nervous system can be manipulated. So how much was that too? How much was nervous system manipulation? You know, that's probably why they thought they were gods, okay? Because they were able to do things that they perceived were superhuman, super amazing, beyond capacity of human beings. So,
yeah, it's as far as the like the Megan Fox thing. Somebody was bringing it up, like if you find her attractive, you're gay, right? Well,
JK,
it's kind of, it's really insidious, and it's almost on a like a subliminal level. You know what I mean? You don't know why you're attracted to her, but you are. It's almost like because there's subliminal messages in everything.
Yes.
And it's
on
like,
purpose.
On
and
purpose.
Also to make you do the opposite of what maybe you normally would do.
Right.
And you're not even aware spiritually or emotionally that that's what you're doing, because you're not aware of what's going on in front of your face, that you're not.
Exactly. It's not like something that you really see. It's kind of, it's so fast. And I think this is kind of another way of doing it subliminally. It's right in your face, but you don't, it's reaching you on a subconscious level. It's just,
well, it's making you question.
To know that they do this to kids even before they're born, that they're going even into the embryonic stage and changing hormones. That blows my mind.
Right.
Well, now they're also doing it with all the freaking vaccines that they give them early on. So there's another layer of insanity that's happening to kids. HPV shots, like it. I mean, how old? 8
12,
years old?
13.
What?
They want to get up to 11.
13 in Washington. 13 is when
Hep B shots at 2 days old. They give a Hep B series. They start it when they're 2 days old. Now, how many infants do you know out, shooting drugs and having sex? I don't know any.
I
Okay.
didn't understand that either when I had my daughter. I was like, I didn't understand, but at the time, you're just like, you go with it because you don't know, you think that they know better.
Right. I agree, Heather, completely. And we didn't know as much as we know now. Now we're a lot more knowledgeable about it. We ask a lot more questions, and we can be a lot more hardcore about it. We can be like, nope, don't want it. Go, Mary.
Don't do that, please.
Extreme close up.
And biscuits, they're called white pines.
White pines are what? That's what's behind you? Beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Also, was just checking to make sure a hummingbird wasn't attacking you. That's all it was. But yes, anybody that gives their life to Christ, that's what's said. We're new creatures in Christ, but I believe it's a spiritual rebirth. We still have to battle with the flesh, and the flesh has been tainted and continues to be augmented and all kinds of stuff.
Right. But it is that spiritual image, and I do believe that that's why what Jesus did on the cross was a rescue mission. Do not make me big on here. Anyway, but I do believe that's what it is. I believe that Jesus, that's why he said you must be born again. It was talking about, when you get down to the resonance of DNA level, you're talking spiritual level. It's like I said, it's like quantum mechanics. We have a quantum computer between our ears. We can't see it, but we know we have it, right? Same difference. And so I honestly believe that that's why Jesus said, be born again. It was to take part of whatever the code was in the garden that was messed up and fix it, turn it the right way. Does that mean it's all perfect? No, he tells us it isn't.
So OTW News 333. I don't think I've seen you before, but what's up? Welcome. I like it, Crystal. Let's get back into, so we got some more video to watch. But yes, a lot of these archetypes putting out there, other ones that have been brought up throughout history. I think he gets into this, but like Hercules, Achilles, and Gilgamesh, other characters that go way back. So let's pull this back up and continue to watch a little bit. If anybody wants to jump in at any point, just holler at me or whatever. I'll stop the video. We'll have a discussion. Oh, go ahead, Mary. You have something to say?
I just wanted to make this suggestion. If I could, I would find it really interesting if you could have someone on your show, or a few, who have been augmented. And can they tell us what the difference they feel versus then, and what can you do better now? Why did you make that choice? And can you even talk about it? I don't know. But I would find that fascinating. Okay.
Mary has questions.
I had that same thought, Mary.
Mary has
somebody who wants to be augmented. Is that what you're saying? Somebody who
voluntarily was augmented, that knew that what they were doing, so that they could physically tell the difference between before they did whatever they did.
I got questions too. Heather, don't you?
But, well, yeah.
I have lots of questions.
I do too, but like, who do you know that has voluntarily, number one, has done that knowingly, and number two, would be willing to talk about it? Because I kind of have a feeling that they may have had to sign something.
There are YouTube X accounts where they brag about being augmented. There are.
Well, who are they?
Out there.
And Heather, there was a kid who came on BOOMA STREAMA and said he got augmented and he was afraid.
Yes.
And then he went away and we never saw him again.
We never got to talk to him again. Yeah.
Yeah, and JK chased him away. Just joking, JK.
And if we're augmented, because I've heard us talk about we've been augmented. I mean,
agree. Yeah, we all have to a degree.
I mean, what are some of those signs? I mean, I want to think I'm still mostly human. It's hard for me to, that concept of, when I got vaccinations as a kid and the food I was eating, I mean, it's not like I can tell that I feel kind of weird sometimes, but I mean, that's just me. But I mean,
Dawn, sorry to interrupt. I think the amount of vaccines that maybe your generation got in comparison to, say, those who were vaccinated in the 80s and the 90s versus what kids are vaccinated today, are like exponentially way more than what they were when you got vaccinated for. So
that's true. Very much so.
So are you able to feel and sense, and what you're feeling is actually the perturbation that Sabrina talks about? And are you able to sense that because you were not as augmented as, say, someone like me or someone like the younger generation, like the 18-year-olds that are augmented now?
Right. And just so you guys know, hold on, just so you guys know, I do have somebody that comes on regularly that's been augmented, not by choice. Sabrina.
That's right.
Sabrina is an N2.
And yes, it was involuntary, but she was augmented.
What's an N2?
Right.
It means that she has like certain abilities, and some of them I don't even think she would not choose to have, but she can hear certain frequencies. She can tap into certain things that other people don't hear, or if they do hear, it's like, I didn't hear that, or they close their mind off to it. So she can tap into certain frequencies if they're trying to tap in, like they, as in the higher freaking authorities that go beyond CIA, Secret Service, and all those levels. Those people that are clicky, remote control, running the Sims programs and testing out their biocyber interfaces and the load balancing that is occurring here with humanity, she can tap into some of those things.
They were using her body as an interface with another computer. They were using hydrogel back in the 70s and 80s to hook her up with SCSI cables to a computer, to an underground Cray computer.
Right. Well, I think would be which
gee, what does that say about the fourth dimension? They can't get a lot done without humans, can they?
Right.
That's the truth.
But what would be interesting is somebody who knowingly.
I agree. Somebody who I agree.
To have that conversation. And who is it? TM Short? Yeah, how do we get you on?
Yeah.
You want to come on and talk about it? Are you in Telegram?
We would love to hear other people's stories about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to come on Telegram first so we can find out whether or not you're a glowy, as we learned in the last episode. Remember that? We've had a lot of glowies come in that are operatives working for whatever reason and pretending to be normies or part of the community here, like us. Oh, I'm awake, guys. I blah, blah, blah. Then they come in and they turn out to be assholes that are just trying to either grift off us or change the narrative or influence us. It might have been Eternus, but yeah, JK, it was like a young guy that came on. He didn't show himself. And he said that he had like augmented himself and he was scared. And then you were telling him that he made a mistake and stuff like that. And I thought it was a good discussion to have or whatnot. But
JK was pretty good with him, though. He did. He told him
how
to.
I always tease, and JK knows.
Yeah.
But he did. I don't think he ever showed back up again. Not a glowy. Okay, that's what a glowy would say. But I'm not get to know you, and I'm just playing. But it has happened before. So just so you know, we are ultra careful about who we let on anymore. That's going to be feds, like Biscuit says. Please don't. I don't. Someday we will have that conversation. If you want to have that conversation, JK here.
We all believe in a quantum Earth. How about that?
We all have different beliefs, and we all have a slightly different take on it,
right?
Too, we might agree on some. I mean, and some of us are in the middle, so that's why we have these conversations. But
back in the house.
Hey,
what's up, guys?
So
Max here.
Sorry for being late.
It's all good, Bo.
The party's just getting started.
Yeah, and I just want to say hi to Shalom Girl. Shalom Girl was the babysitter.
Hi, Shalom Girl.
Yes, when he was very young, learned a lot of things. She has a channel. She's exposed a lot of that and shared a testimony. If you haven't checked that out, but it's sorry to hear that you have an emergency going on. You're still alive. Praise God. Yeah, praise God. And welcome. Thank you for being here, Shalom Girl. There you go. Anyways, Matt, what's happening, brother?
Not much. We're super busy getting the food truck up and running. So just like a chicken with its head cut off, just trying to get everything done in a few days. So, but other than that, it's a beautiful rainy day out here. And I haven't been listening in, so I'm a little behind on where we're at. But
I'll bring you up to speed a little bit. Just a quick little run through, talking a little bit about He-Man, of course. It's an archetype. We've talked about Grayskull, some of the occult symbolism putting into early cartoon messaging and toys and movies, and He-Man making the comeback, Masters of the Universe, that is. I mean, they do it with all of them, with Marvel and all that kind of stuff. But we were talking about that. We were talking about genetic manipulation, a little bit of Nephilim, but more of like kind of in some of the fallen angel stuff with this video that we're watching. That's The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. But talking about some of the occult symbolism, but genetic manipulation, a lot of that. Did you know that there's such thing as bottom parties?
What is it?
Bottom parties. You've never heard?
I think I can imagine what that is.
Don't
but
answer that
I've
question.
never heard that.
I think every guy can imagine what a bottom party might be, but it was part of the conversation, just so you know.
So we're going all over the place. That's how these usually go, though. I love it.
Right. So anything goes, man. But that's some of the areas that we've been. It was actually somebody posted a typo. They were talking about Botox, or we were on the panel, and they were trying to talk about Botox, and they said bottom parties. That's a misspelling or something. And so we went off on this tangent about bottom parties. So it was just kind of fun.
Bottom parties, BOOMA beads.
Yes, and that's exactly where it led to, because I was like, well, if mess is now going out into the ether of the internet and it becomes a social craze, I am right behind it, literally, with my internet of BOOMA booty beads.
No pun intended, huh?
Oh, pun intended, indeed. I'm taking that pun on that one, Don. Okay. Anyways, we're going to get back into this video, and we're just breaking it up into sections and having discussions based off of that too. Is there anything else that anybody would like to talk about before we continue with the messaging of this video?
Well, I was going to say, when Crystal was talking about the fact that Adam being the electricity and being connected to, say, the spiritual side, it's also connects with the science side. And I think she did kind of touch a little bit on that. My thought was Adam being electrocuted or having electricity gives him that super. So is it because that's what they're using to perturbate, right? So it can be both the esoterical and as well as the scientific.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, they love doing that.
And does that tie into the Nephilim, where they could use the electricity to change the genes to make people taller, bigger, whatever?
That's kind of what the question of
sun.
that video is, Mac, because that's what we were talking about. Because what he was bringing out, Truth is Stranger in Fiction, is that maybe the thought that, you know, a lot of people in the biblical world believe that it has to be the only way Nephilim or a change to the human genetics can happen is through adding Nephilim DNA or RNA to the mix. But what we were saying is, because of what they're doing now with microelectricity, perturbation, frequency light, they don't need to do that. And considering the fact that quantum mechanics is based on math and like Kabbalah type math, a lot of that stuff, for that reason, there is a crossover. He calls it witchcraft, but it's also quantum mechanics. So it's both. And that's what we were talking about, is that it really is what we're living in is what people in the 80s could have called witchcraft, right? Because we're living in a world that's ran by quantum mechanics that we're like flagrantly doing out in the open now. Everybody's doing it. So
yeah, that never made sense to me, the whole fallen angel thing. I just never can conceptualize how that made a Nephilim. So the electricity makes a lot more sense in that regard, I think.
Well, the Nephilim are the giants that were created from the fallen angels that mated with women, right?
yes, but I think what Mac's saying is he could never conceptualize an angel DNA with a woman DNA, right? But if you add a spiritual imprint of our DNA, and then you add in electricity, light, sound, frequency, perturbation, then that also makes sense to me why in Jude it says that the angels that fell changed and left their first estate, their first physicality, the way they were made to be in heaven. They changed themselves. So that, and there's also a word in the Greek, it's like metaschizmorphia, something like that. It's a very weird word, but that's what it's talking about, is being able to shape shift your body from one phage or phase state to something else, which is basically what they had to do in order to have sex with women. But electricity being part of it actually makes a lot of sense to me too. I agree.
And maybe another way they can survive these resets.
Truth.
Change into different forms or whatnot.
Nathaniel Gillis, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's done a lot of research on the whole metamaterials, alien abduction, DARPA, NASA, all of it. And he talks about that he thinks that it's one way they can carry themselves from one time period to another, that even in some of the shamanic tribes, they're able to implant themselves, their spirit, their consciousness into a fetus in another person to carry it forward, which I found mind-blowing. So
and then that takes me to the Egyptians when they have the tombs and they create these tombs specifically for what you're talking about, I think. So that they can be reincarnated.
To harness the electricity.
Essentially.
And angels can appear as human. They can change their state depending on type of angel and what they're there for too, because there's different types. So
wouldn't they have to change themselves to come into this dimension or realm?
Absolutely. Have you guys ever taken a P900 camera and looked at a star up close? You got to do it. It literally looks like there's a person dancing in an orb. It's beautiful. And it's all colorful and everyone is different. And if you've never done it, it'll change your perspective on stars completely. It's beautiful.
I've seen those videos.
YouTube, there's people that have recorded it and put it up.
Yeah.
What's a P900? A certain camera?
A certain kind of camera that's very, very intense. It goes very, very clear and very, very far out. And they quit selling the cameras, some of them, because people were getting super good shots of stuff, and I don't think they liked it very much. So
interesting.
Yep. It's beautiful though. If you've never, just go look up Stars Are Angels on YouTube and you'll find somebody who did a P900 video, and it looks like a person running in a plasma ball. That's what it looks like. It's really pretty. So I've seen that in a lot of it. It's frequency and energy.
Yes. And Michelle, yes, Crystal puts a lot of flair on this. This is like her wheelhouse. We were just last night having a Bible study, and so a lot of the stuff connects. You have a shirt that literally says straight out of Genesis 6, right? Like it's straight out of
I do.
That's cool.
Right.
That's cool shirt.
And then we were talking
about from Canary Cry. He was selling those for a while, and I thought that's the most perfect shirt because of everything it's always talked about. If you guys have never seen Canary Cry and Gonz's series of documentaries, you should watch it. I'll have to tag that in some time for you guys to watch. It's very good. And he goes through everything from the Enochian history all the way up to quantum mechanics. He talks about it all through all of the videos. So it's really good. And he's into computers. So
yep. What Biscuits is putting right there. They need a host essentially. And that's exactly it. They dissociate so that they become empty and something else can come into them. Just like the biological entities. I think that's why they make those the synthetic entity, biological, whatever you want to call them, so that they can house. And also with graphene.
Medusa.
Yep.
Like cutting off Medusa's head too.
Yep.
Right.
And that's really Medusa was just another type of hybrid, basically. I mean, when you think about it. And I honestly believe I met a couple of people. I don't know if this is true because I'm not from Greece, but I've met people from Greece, and I've actually been told that some of their what we consider myth, they consider history, some of it. So I think it all depends on your persona and what you think about it, your perception. So
Blunt bitch, I think you need to refresh. Sometimes that happens to me. The chat will freeze and I have to leave and come back. And Rumble does that shit to me all the time, actually.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, the Futurama. Yep, the Head Museum.
Yep.
And there's other shows.
That was one of the very first types of golem they had too.
Have the heads.
They would take heads
and
make them like,
it's just a person's head, and it's just like all kinds of shows have depicted that.
And that was one of the very first Jewish Talmud golems that's talked about was a head that they could make actually talk. So there's some truth to that.
Couldn't you? Think about like Frankenstein, because when Biscuit said that, I was actually thinking that. I wrote it down.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what I was thinking about too. You take something dead. even us, we die. What did they do? Shoot us with
Walt
the
Disney with his head on ice. Yeah.
Truth.
Walt Disney with his head on ice.
Yeah.
They kept his head on ice in case
Yep.
in the future there'd be technology to bring him back.
Still to this day, they
Cryogenics.
have his head on ice, essentially.
Somebody look that up. Do they still have his head on ice?
Cryogenically, I think.
There's a
What's
lot of
that?
people that have done cryogenics of their whole body. It's pretty
Yep.
crazy.
Ted Williams.
Yeah, and we thought that Star
Yep.
Wars, they were full of shit, right?
Right?
They made it that way on purpose, though, so that we wouldn't think of it as market share. It's a
True.
fantasy. I was thinking about that last night too. Like when I was a kid, or when you're a kid, you know, most kids, whatever they see on TV, they think is real. And so I remember my mom telling me over and over, it's not real. It's not real. You don't have to be scared. Da, da, da,
Right.
da. Well, then we get in the mindset that it's not real. So even when we're told that it's real, we revert back to that. It did that shit on purpose. They planned it so perfectly.
Yeah.
Conditioning.
And someone mentioned earlier about Frankenstein, how they zapped him with electricity.
That's,
you know,
yeah, biscuits. Because that's what I was thinking when
Yep.
when that thing and I was going, Frankenstein. They
Yes.
just put and sew
And
it
when was
together.
Mary
They-
Shelley? Do you guys know when Mary Shelley's
Ooh.
Frankenstein was written? It was like
No.
the very late 1800s.
Yes,
early
it was in the
1900s.
1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very
Well,
big
I mean,
time.
think about how far back the white papers go. So,
Right. And what is Sabrina
1880s.
always saying? Civil War, they were doing this and before. Okay. So
Right. I think they've been
don't
doing
know.
it forever. It's
Mhm.
nothing about this is changed. It's just, I mean, what we see has changed. The
the purpose
characters'
is the
names
same.
and things
Nothing
like
new
that,
under the
but there's
sun.
nothing new under the sun.
Nope.
Because it has to do with mathematics and biology and all that.
Yes.
It's always been there.
We just
But
got to
then
find a
It
way
would
to.
make sense
a
if they
dark
make it
agenda.
seem
That's the sad
fantastical.
part.
If they want to capitalize on it and they don't want anybody else to, and they want people to truly believe that they are like gods because they can they can morph into something else, or they could do that.
They want other people to
nobody
believe
knows
they're
that
going to
it-
get that right, but they're not going to. They're going to control people because that's what they really want. And I think what Lee says too about the data centers being the abyss, that makes a lot of sense to me, because if you put a lot of people on a chipset, well, they could be hung out there forever and they could control their perception forever. So they would be in hell, the metaverse. They wouldn't know the difference because somebody else is completely controlling the perception of that consciousness. So those are
Right.
things to think about and why it's so important to want to stay human, you guys.
And it's why they've dumbed down the education system with the children
Absolutely.
regarding math,
Right.
because if you don't understand the math, then you can't see what's
Thank
going
you.
on.
Nope.
Well, and they constantly have been bombarding us in the last 50 years, at least, that we're the fucking problem. Humans
Right.
are a
Yep.
fucking problem on this earth.
Yep.
So it makes, the kid, I mean, you're bored into this mindset.
Right.
Yep.
Eventually you're going to believe it and want to do, and they look around you. Everything has gone to shit. Why would you want to be here?
Yeah, and
So
they
it makes
have
you
done that
want
with
to go
kids.
somewhere else.
I know my
That's
children
especially
have said
true.
there's too many people on the planet, and I'm going, there
Right.
is
Yeah.
not. There is not.
Right.
That
No,
is
I
a
mean,
lie.
But they teach the kids
Hate
that.
the way
I've
that we
even
are.
heard my own grandchildren say that before. And I'm
Yep.
like,
Makes you
no,
want
there's
to
not too
change
many
who
people.
you are. They come from you at every single angle, whether it's you
Yes,
want to
Carl.
be rich and famous and pretty forever and blah 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 blah, or you want to be a superhero, or you want it whatever angle, they've got it covered.
Or a furry. Or maybe,
Right.
there's something for
Just to be, the
everyone.
whole point is to not be who you authentically are.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything
They don't want
but
authenticity.
that. You're
They
never
want
going to find
drones
happiness in that.
and
How
body
could you,
parts.
right? Because
They
we've been
want-
taught that we're so horrible.
Right. They want body parts and energy. They don't care. And souls, I believe, but also body parts and energy. That's first, because they're looking on a physical level first. If they can't have all the real bodies, then they want the body parts. They can stay longer. Period. So,
Frankenstein.
it's very much Frankensteinian. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Sounds like a religion, a Frankensteinian.
Yep.
There is
does.
Nephilim gutter speak. Yeah.
Anybody who says that this world is overpopulated has not taken a road trip cross country. I have. I've gone from Vermont to Florida, across the Panhandle to California, up the coast to Oregon, and back home again. And let me tell you what, there's a whole lot in between with nothing there.
Absolutely.
Right.
And small little towns. And
Right. And they're going to make those places illegals for us to be, basically.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the national
Exactly.
parks.
They'll all be a national park. 15-minute cities. But
I mean,
yeah,
it's in the
like,
plans.
this
If you
place is
look
so
up Agenda
vast.
2050 and you look at the map of just the United States, for fuck's sake.
Yep.
It's even up in Canada, because I mean, well, like there's 3 Canadian cities already on the C40 initiative that Sabrina talks about, and
Yeah.
everything
They
in the
really
middle is
want Canada too, because Canada's got so many resources.
so many resources.
They're like,
Canada's
make the whole
helping
place a
itself
big
out.
national park, and they get to keep everything, right?
Yep.
So that makes total sense to me.
Is that why all the fires were up in Canada?
Well, they're doing that because they're trying to destroy all of the tree belt that we have naturally up there. So right now, Canada is actually a carbon neutral. And if you take the amount of carbon that the trees absorb versus the carbon, dioxide that we emit or whatever that they're taxing, we're actually in the negative because we have so much natural trees and resources that it doesn't act like we're actually a neutral country.
Right.
But
they get rid of the trees. They don't have to worry. Then they're going to be able to.
Then they can tax the crap out of you,
"Look,"
saying
and
you're not carbon neutral
say,
anymore.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at our natural disasters because we're ruining the planet.
Yep. And they're blaming it on
because you're driving your car and you farted too many times yesterday.
Right.
Because they didn't take care of the trees that were up there naturally. They didn't get rid of some of the beetles and some of the things that the parks were asking for and calling for, which then dried out a lot of the tinder, which then immediately was able to start up on fire. They're spraying them continuously with glyphosates and trying to say that it's to protect the forest, which is bullshit. We all know that.
Makes it flammable.
Yeah, and it's more flammable, so then it's easier to ignite. And then they're blaming that on climate change, and I'm just like,
right. Or they say, oh, somebody threw a cigarette out the window as they were driving on the fucking freeway, and it just so happened to blow. And then half of Washington State's on fire, you guys.
Yeah. And it could go up with a cigarette flick. It absolutely could because that
of what
dry.
they're doing. Right.
We actually caught
And
people in
who's
Southern
flicking the
California
cigarette?
before setting fires. Me and Jerry were
A lot of
driving in
those
Hemet.
fires are set by the who actually goes out and does it.
I just seen some young punk dudes doing it. They were driving up over in Hemet, and they would stop, get out of the car, light a little fire in the ditch on the side of the hill.
Right.
And
who
get back in and take off to the next one. So
and
people doing that.
There's a job.
Well, also
doing a job.
they do it to control. They call it a control burn.
Yeah, this
and
was
they do this.
That's different.
You're gonna do this when it's 100 degrees over here, and hasn't rained in 2 months, and that's the time that they decide to start the goddamn fires and go.
It is different with the control burn,
you guys.
Right,
Heather, or hey, you girl. Sorry, it is different with the control burn because I know in farm country we do control burns and we do burn our fields because it brings the carbon back into the soil, which is exactly what they need.
Topher talks about that. Yep.
But you talk to actual people who are doing this to their land, who are doing it on purpose, and the problem is that our governments are stopping those who understand a control burn situation and know how to stop it. The governments are stopping them from going in to those areas where it is out of control, who know how to put these fires out and who are willing and capable and able to go help, and they're not being allowed to go up there.
Right. I'm just saying that they're using that. They're that term because it is there's a half truth. It is necessary at times, and I get that. But also at the times that they're doing it. Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna wait till the hottest fucking part of the year so that it's probably gonna get it's harder to contain.
Yeah. And there are people that are calling that out left, right, and center because they're people who've done control burns on properties or, and they do. There are people that are losing their brains on that. Because
and then if somebody sees somebody doing a control burn, they freak the fuck out on them because they don't understand.
But it's like how they're scaring all the people in Canada and the United States regarding all of the gun issues and how it's not the licensed gun owners that are the ones that are causing the problem. And I'm like, you're going after law-abiding citizens, right? Like, So it gets they do it all the time. They do it all the
It
time.
serves multiple purposes.
Yeah. It's constant going after us for what we're doing. Yeah.
What's up, everyone, from the F2T broadcast? Welcome.
What's
They have
up?
rated us. Good to see y'all. Rating from Thoughtcast with Jeff.
Blessings. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Welcome.
Awesome. All right, Matt, quick, say something. The ladies are they're going to steal the show if you don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Be aggressive.
I'll mute
Okay.
myself.
My thoughts are what's going to happen is going to happen with this whole plan. They've been planning things forever. How do we stop them from doing it all over again? Because they keep doing it all over again. So there must be a weak link that keeps happening. And we're going to keep going through this shit until we figure it out. And we got to figure it out. Obviously, we don't know the full story of history, but how do we stop this from happening again and again and again? Like, I think it goes into like Adam and Eve. I think taking the apple, I think that's augmentation for me. Taking the upgrade.
I agree.
Can you stop people from doing that though? I don't know. I just don't know.
And that's some of the questions that some of us have had on these about.
JK says, just say fucking no. Okay.
Just say with the accent. No. Try one more time, Crystal. Get that accent. Come on.
Just say fucking no.
That was pretty good, actually. I like it. Just say fucking no.
No. We love you.
So that's part of it. Just say no. But the question about whether or not we have free will, yeah. And it's not going to be as simple as people think. Like, they can do whatever they want. They can create catastrophes.
They can, but we do still have free will. And I do believe free will plays a part in it. Definitely. Because you know what? Free will is so important to God. Free will is important to everything that God does. People always want to blame God and say, oh, but look at all the kids in the world that are hurt and look at all this. That's true. But that's because if he's a just God, he's not going to want automatons. Our creator wants somebody who loves you and loves him and loves each other because they choose to.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
God,
if free will was not,
some people haven't figured it out. They love themselves and forget all about God and each other. And that's just the truth of it. Unfortunately, that's the time we live in.
If free will didn't exist, if it wasn't a thing, they wouldn't try and fucking take it from us. And
You
Noah
got it.
Harari or whatever wouldn't be up there going, that's over. That's over.
Yes,
Fuck you,
I
bitch.
agree.
It ain't over.
That's right.
Or could it be with each reset, they're just trying to capture the souls with each reset every 120 years? And
I think
No,
Mac is onto something. And because of what Sabrina talks about too, how she says there's always a remnant, there's always uppity DNA that will not go along, which ties into free fucking will to me.
It does.
So I think that there's something that happens.
Free will also
so
ties
often
into your
that they
epigenetics.
know
I
is going
believe
to
that.
happen around a certain time period, and they plan and adjust for that. And that's why they have shit underground where they have complete cities with buses and all transportation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The women have taken over. Yeah, we kind of do. Sorry.
you just got to run to the hills, man.
Mute us. And
Run
then you
to
can
the
take back over.
hills.
Let's
I
watch
will start muting you all. I swear.
You might
10,
have
15, 20 minutes ago, we were going to get to the next segment of this video.
I'm muting
And
myself.
I went and took a pee, no one even noticed. And I didn't hear Max say one thing the whole time I was gone. And y'all ladies skip a beat. It's
Okay,
a
shall we
female
let the men
takeover.
talk now?
And every time I try to say something, I get talked over. Makes me want to cry a little. That's okay. Okay, the ladies have a lot to say. We're fine. And Mac is right. Yes, he is. Let Mac speak.
Yeah.
Always a remnant, and we absolutely cannot stop anything with so much human to human BS. What I was going to also add on to that before ladies started jumping in is it's not going to be so simple. They can cause catastrophe, but they're also going to tempt the shit out of everybody.
Yeah,
They're going to make it sound so good. They're going to give us pain relief, cure cancers, cure diseases that have not been cured all the time that we've ever known.
And that's what I'm getting at, is that they debase everybody, and everybody debases everybody so bad that they have no other option but to take the technology or whatever the temptation is. And then we just keep going through the whole
So our job, Mac, is to make sure that we're telling everybody, and we're doing our very best to find solutions. And on top of that, you know, epigenetics again, loving on each other, taking care of each other, and believing, because I have faith that you can stand against this. It doesn't mean it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. They're going to do everything. There's a reason even the Bible and Daniel says they wear out the saints. There's a reason it says that. Okay. They get people so tired. They don't want to fight back anymore. They don't want to try. But it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and she ain't sang yet. So as far as I'm concerned, we will be the remnant. We will stand. And if this is the end of an age, then we'll have some divine help somewhere along the way. Only because I believe that's possible. I absolutely believe that's going to happen.
Same here.
But, you know, but not if we sit back and do nothing, which is why it is our job as human beings to stand against it, stand and teach the next generation, teach the kids what it means to be human and how important it is to be human.
100%. I agree with that. And I've watched the miracles happen just by getting into this community and listening and you know, just kind of just like evolving with it. You really watch amazing things happen. And
Amen.
Not to sound like a cult, I'm just saying, when you start thinking differently, your life
You
opens
damn
up.
Sabrina-ite you.
We are Sabrinites. We worship Sabrina Wallace. We are Sabrinites and we worship Sabrina Wallace.
The cult of free range humans, man. The cult of freedom.
I want to be part of that cult, the free range.
The cult of free range humans.
That needs to be on a t-shirt. I'm in the cult of free
It's
range
not a
humans.
cult, y'all. You can feel free to come and go, think as you want, be who you are. I mean, what do we go? What we're authentic?
I was gonna say the cult of authenticity. Sorry, but it's not the cult of Sabrinites. It's the cult of authenticity. Authentic humans, authentic with each other.
Amen.
Cult of authenticity.
There's nobody. There's no.
Which is the way humanity's supposed to be, right?
Leader.
That's, you know, we're supposed to be humans. We're supposed to have differences of opinion and love on each other anyway. We're supposed to learn to be able to listen to somebody else without wanting to kill them because we listen to what they say. Even if we don't agree, it's okay to disagree.
No competition. No competition. We all bring something
And
to
there's
the
room
table.
for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you say, Dorian?
Not everybody here believes the same thing. If you don't believe, like some of the things we're proposing, the thing and this is an answer here, what Linda's saying, we got to get more of the younger kids. And there are some younger kids that are fully awake and they are trying to like do their best to make people aware of what is going on and like pay attention to like their generations.
I know.
They got to find their voice.
We need that. What Biscuits is working on with a lot of the GG stuff and the stuff that we're doing, creating games and stuff that lead to like the truth and point to some things to make them question stuff. We will get to Sabrina and working with her and get more of that stuff in there because this is the most important stuff. I saw a video just rolling around where somebody, I think it was a wearable. I won't name the company, but they had one of those radiation like trackers or readers or whatever like that Charlie has. Charlie did a video with like iPhones and stuff like that, and this was years ago. But they did a recent one with some of these wearables, and they showed the radiation off the charts. And what is the body made up of? It's electricity, energy. Yeah. You're eating food, you're breathing, you're moving. Movement is medicine. There's a reason why we move, and we're made of electrical like impulses or stuff that happens throughout the body to make us be able to animate, move, and have thought. All this stuff, and those things are interacting with our body. This stuff is happening rapidly. There's more waves of various kinds, whether it's Wi-Fi, radio, frequencies we don't really know about, or that is in the white papers and they're not telling us, or the stuff that they weaponize. I mean, what did they use for Maduro and his men when they took him down and they were claiming that they were bleeding out of all their orifices? This stuff is real, and they weaponize it and they use it to control. Rome's idea of full control is still very much alive. It's no different than the Mongols and all the tyrants that have existed in the past. People in power still want to take over, and that's the stuff that we're fighting against. And it's very tough when you don't have, even though we have the numbers, enough people awake and aware. Now, can we just go out with guns and stuff like that? Nah, they could drop bodies like crazy. But we got to have awareness at least and push back locally and then push back in our communities and create community like it should be, where people can actually trust their neighbor would be nice. I don't know if I can trust people around here. There's some nice people. Shit hits the fan. Can you trust them? Those are things you should think about in your local areas, because everybody's got a different setup depending on where you live. But what we got going on with all this stuff that's coming into play right now with social media, AI, the data centers, all the various frequencies that are now filling the air, the environments around data centers are changing and being altered. There's one of those readers right there. And you can use that kind of stuff, and you can test all kinds of stuff, whether it's smartphones, devices, laptops, televisions, Fitbits, wearables, all that kind of stuff. And you can find out, man, how does it read all your heartbeat or your health? They have health apps now just on smartphones that are they don't even have to be on your body or on your person, and it's connecting into you and like reading your biometrics. It's crazy.
I'm on a CPAP now. That thing knows exactly what's going on with me every night.
Every freaking night. Yep.
Yeah. I've called and said, I'm having issues with like condensation building up in my mask. And she goes, oh, I see what's going on right now. You have your CPAP is set too high for humidity, but you know, the temperature needs to be higher too. And I'm like, it knows everything about me. It knows how many events I've had. I just look at my phone and it's like, do I really want this thing under my bed hooked to me all night long?
Right. Right.
I mean, in some cases, though, what's the alternative? You know what I mean?
Well, I could die, but there are worse things in life.
To live
some type of
Well, that's another conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation for sure.
It's a whole other BOOMA
Every
stream.
once in a while, Mike, it might be time to dip out. I ain't suicidal. Just get that on record. Make sure everybody, I ain't suicidal. But every once in a while, I'm like, every time to dip out of this place.
Yeah.
It's getting real.
I think we all kind of have thoughts like that sometimes.
Right.
But I'm not either. So
not suicidal, not depressed.
Not either.
Not
even
every once in a
close.
while, I'm like, damn, it's so bad. It's crazy around here. Cray. But for me to live as Christ and to die as gain.
that's
That
right.
is something that we look forward to.
Amen.
With some of us that have that faith. If you don't have that faith, all right. But that
No
when I think about
You
when I
gotta
think
work.
about whether or not there's like a loving creator, the fact that we can have these conversations still gives me the idea, or at least hope, that there is still free will. There is still an ability to do something. God, throughout the Bible, regardless if you believe it or not, if you believe it's just a story, has communication with the people in the Bible. He has a discussion. He has feedback. He takes our prayers. It's there is stuff that we can do. There's always hope. I never give up on that. But people have to understand the seriousness of the situation, because they think like, oh, it's not that bad. No, it's fucking bad. Okay, but we're not blackpilling. There is hope. We always have hope. We'll have hope in Christ. If you don't have hope in Christ, you have something else. You have hope. There's hope. Okay, however you view hope, there we do have that as a message, and we try to mitigate these things. We become aware of these things, and that's a lot of what Sabrina is doing with these classes and teaching and in person, when you can meet with people and talk about something, and they look at you like you're a normal freaking person, and they have the same concerns. It's a beautiful thing, and that's what we're doing here with this community. So those of you that came in on a raid, I don't know if you know what you're getting yourself into, but we're talking about human augmentation, Nephilim, hybridization, the genetic stuff that they're doing in the medical world, and all this kind of stuff. So here we go. Anybody else have anything else to share before we get back to the video that we were going to get to about 30 minutes ago?
Video.
Crystal, you're muted. Did you want to say something real quick?
No, just saying, let's watch it, Booma.
Yeah, roll it.
I'm going to fast forward. So Charlie from episode 1, she broke this kind of down. We're going to fast forward to about 21, 25, where he gets into the men of renown discussion, modern day giants.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, we'll play some of that, and then more towards the end. Some other stuff, and this is cited down below, Stranger Than Fiction, that he gets into that we're not going to cover, but we kind of got into just naturally in this community chat. He talks about demon possession theories, alternative giant explanations, alternative points of view on the Nephilim. So you can get that from the actual video, but we're going to go ahead and skip ahead just to get to the end, because there's already been so much great conversation just naturally here in this community. We're going to get into the men of renown discussion and modern day giants. So let's get it.
It's a relatively new Christian doctrine, but a not so new Talmudic doctrine, which again is very telling. But if a child who is conceived in a satanic ritual scenario with a demonized father. This too, I think, can explain this whole phenomenon where we see figures throughout history who are said to have been demigods, right? And kind of the whole Hercules phenomenon, and was Achilles, and all these demigods throughout Greek mythology, and the Epic of Gilgamesh, even down into historical figures like Alexander the Great, who believed his father was Zeus, I think. And then even stretching out into, I would say, the Illuminati families, if you want to call them that, the bloodline families, the occult families, who perhaps really do believe that they are descendants of the Nephilim or descendants of the gods, or have, the dragon blood, or all the different ways that you could describe it. All these concepts of people who believe that they are of divine lineage, just like in that clip. Right. This is a very common theme in history, and even maybe the royal families and the pharaohs and all the whole concept of the god king. I think makes total sense when you just think of it in terms of demonized, demon-possessed men who are then imbued with either not just physical strength, and then the whole, because Nephilim, it's interesting how we see it through this lens of the warrior archetype, and kind of the Hercules archetype, the warrior, the mighty hunter, the mighty man, the champion. We think of heroes and the sense of battle and fight, which of course I think is all part of it. But then I think probably the majority of the true Nephilim throughout history were not necessarily all about their physical dominance and war-making capabilities, but increasingly about being vessels for the doctrines of demons, right? And that's a very biblical concept, and we can understand how, like, the oracles, the oracle at Delphi, and different, spirit mediums who were used to make demonic prophecies. So I think you could have all kinds of figures like Hermes Trismegistus that was kind of part man and part god, and he wasn't a warrior, he wasn't, whether he was a mythological figure or a real guy, it's kind of hard to say, but the concept itself is definitely, in my book, an example of a Nephilim, particularly in terms of like the men of renown. If we really take that biblical concept and think about the entire spectrum of history and the pagan world, and then all the way up even through the church age, and the giants who, when you think about Isaac Newton saying, I stand on the shoulders of giants, Isaac Newton being one of the most famous occultists in all of her history, who most of the world thinks of just a scientist, but right, he was into alchemy and all sorts of Kabbalist writings and all kinds of, he was a student of alchemy and all these esoteric, hermetic topics. The giants that Isaac Newton was talking about were not warriors and physical brutes or, leaders of armies. He was talking about intellectual giants, so to speak. He was talking about sages and muses and, men of learning. He was talking about men of the occult sciences. And that's where I think, especially as history moved forward and the gospel was being preached after the ministry of Jesus, and Jesus had triumphed over the grave, triumphed over sin and death and Satan's authority over death at the cross, the ability for Satan to just make direct war on the people of God was now being restrained. It was limited. And this ties into Revelation 20 and what I believe Satan being bound is really about. That is really about the spiritual realm. And all this stuff is related, interestingly enough. But
all right, let's stop there as a good stopping point if you guys have anything to say on that. Brought up Revelation 20, was it?
Yeah, I think he makes some good points. And I do believe that some of what we think, probably from the men of renown, were just warriors. But we also have cases of things like, for instance, David's mighty men. There were some of those that fought for David. Okay. And some of them were Moabites. In fact, Beersheba's husband that died, he was a Moabite, and he was also a warrior and part of the 37 mighty men. So there were some people, some people considered them Nephilim. Were they Nephilim or were they warriors that were superhuman, did superhuman feats? We don't know. We also don't look at the difference in 4,000 years and how much our DNA has been changed by perturbation, frequency, and sound, and epigenetics, and everything else that we've been exposed to. I think that makes a difference too. So, just some thoughts.
I think.
Go ahead, Mac.
I think also if you look at something called ancient human genetics, and you look back at, like, they lie about everything, but if you look at the migrations of peoples and different genes mixing, you can see a pattern of overturn, and you can you can look back at history and say, why did they gain such an advantage over these other people and slaughter them all? So that's in the record going back,
That's
however
true,
far back you want to look back. So if you want to look into that, you can look into something called haplogroups, and that shows you why certain lineages overtook vast amounts of people and gained power over a lot of different populations. So it's in the historical record and genetic record too, even if they're lying about that.
And a lot of that was also based on epigenetics, but how much of that was created? For instance, diseases brought to tribal people, Amazonian people, different groups, and then they would die off. It wasn't they were weaker. A lot of them were warrior people, but they were exposed to things their body had never been exposed to before. So, of course, their epigenetics were changed. And I agree the haplogroups are really interesting when you look into the migratory patterns.
Black Plague. That's probably one.
So much with the Black Plague.
Right. It's a common theme. It's over and over and over again.
Right. They talk about some of the stuff going way back. I mean, some of the more recent one, like the Spanish flu and the things that they did with that, but going way back
Right.
with the plagues and the various things that happened. The so-called settlers, Columbus and everybody that came over and then eventually infected the Native Americans. I mean, there's talk about how Columbus, that wasn't the first settler to come here, that it was Vikings. I don't know what some of the stories actually would say as far as what you'd be able to find in archaeology and history. But he brings up a lot of stuff also that has to do with alchemy. So now we're dealing with, like, with He-Man and all this kind of stuff that we're highlighting a little bit here, and the archetypes and whatnot. So there's alchemy, like the physical stuff where you can change like lead to gold, and certain things to like money or whatever it was that they practice, or the ability of thought. And now we have the arts. And so now they're using alchemy in the sense that they're altering our minds from one state, maybe a spiritual state, to a fallen state, even deeper and deeper into these rabbit holes of demonic occultism. And it's happening at a very early age where people don't even have an opportunity to understand what's really going on in the world. Because most people identify, well, not most people, a lot of people. I mean, you see it with the Star Wars people that get really into it, Star Trekkies, Comic-Con. You get people that are more interested in living in LARPs and these other realities than even confronting the world as it really is. And the world as it really is scares people so much sometimes that is. I mean, I did it with video games. I used to go and play a shit ton of video games because I was like, fuck that world. I also did it with addiction. Used to drink a lot of booze and go and party. Fuck that world. And then I got sober and realized, damn, this world is way more messed up than I ever would have imagined.
And I would have to concur with that because I was definitely an avid LARPer. And I mean, it was more fun to go out and ignore your reality of your life. And it was to go out and dress up as a costume or in a costume and get into character and pretend because that was a better life that you were living than what you were in your reality.
Right. And I believe that we have the ability to be creative and stuff. So I'm not trying to take away or bash anybody that's a part of these things.
No.
I just would wish that more people could come back into reality as well and participate in that alongside the creative expressions that they enjoy. That's all I'm saying, is because I spent most of my adult life avoiding reality at all costs. And now here I am confronted with this, and I feel like we're at the verge of almost losing our ability to be able to have these discussions, the internet control, the things that they want to do, the things that they can do, improve during COVID with lockdowns that in some ways backfired for some of us sitting down and actually learning things, but put us in our kill boxes as some of the literature says, and Sabrina points out, and keep us in our, say, 15-minute cities at some point, and surveillance state, and all these ideas that they put out there. What really happens, I don't know. And like we were talking about earlier, the temptations they're going to bring. The temptations that used to be like breast augmentation, Botox, and some of those things. Now it's getting to the serious level of Neuralink, implants. There's rice chips that people have been already testing and putting into their hands so that when they go to the supermarket, they just have their hand there, boom, bam, you paid for it because it's connected to your bank account and connected to who you are. Digital IDs, we talked about some of that on the channel. Man, this stuff's rolling in fast. And Chelsea, you had a question here that I did want to raise. I have a question. Does it take certain way to die to free your soul? So I'm asking, like, if someone dies by a gunshot, they come back, and Rex, they come back. But if someone got their head cut off, I guess that's going into some of the stuff that we're talking about with the head cutting off and whatnot. Super soldier talk, if you get into any of that kind of stuff, I used to be big into it. Now some of it's most of it is a psyop, but I'm not saying all is. I heard people talk about regeneration machines when we were like, when the med bed stuff was all big. The fact that they could go and cut someone's head off, all they needed was, they didn't even really need the head, but they were trained as super soldiers, allegedly, to cut off the head and bring that back and bring them to life. And now you have talk about soul traps and other various technologies where they can take your consciousness and put it into a machine, a fucking computer when you die. I don't know.
I think it would be well worth to, I know you're trying to corner Sabrina Booma and try to get some of her thoughts on paper and on video, but also her cosmology on like the different types of augmentation and all that different stuff, so we can get a clearer picture of kind of what it actually is and where it's at, according to her. Not like she's the only source, but I think Sabrina's been pretty spot on about most things. So
yeah,
I think if we can all get a clearer picture of what that means and what that is.
I agree about the types of augmentation. I think Sabrina would have a lot to say.
Right. And when she gets done with these classes and stuff, and the classes are great, we're going to do some more reunions and talk about those things. I love that she's doing it. Come August, we'll be doing some more work, collaborations and stuff like that. I am looking forward to trying to communicate to more people. And as she interacts with people, she's talking about some of these classes and people are showing up that don't even have any idea who she is, which is in some ways is a great thing, because if they have a great experience and learn about it, then you have more people that are actually learning this material. But as far as and I don't always agree with everything that, Sabrina talks about or the ways that she views the world. However, if I point to one person that's more right than anybody else that I have found, it's Sabrina Wallace. And that's why I started covering her before we even ever talked. I had never talked to her. Somebody shared, I think it was Colin Wise, shared some information about her. I looked at her and I was like, what is this? So there was something about it that resonated. I started sharing her work, and then eventually we ended up having discussions. I was so nervous. And then I was so nervous to meet her when we did the class or whatever. But I watch her work and I look at what's going on in the world, and she has been so spot on about so many things that she's been warning about now for 4 years. And then gets attacked. People don't get attacked like she gets attacked if you're not telling something they don't want out there. The thing is, she's not like a whistleblower. She tells people she's not a whistleblower. She's not the girl from Stranger Things. She's not 11. She is a person that knows how to read the literature and read what's going on in a way, and then read it to the world. Tell the world what's really being said when they have these symposiums and they do these big meetings all over the world where they're talking about augmentation and the future of medicine and consciousness transfer and all this stuff that's like fucking sci-fi to most people because they don't pay attention to it, and they get sucked into their LARPs and their games and all their movies and their TV shows and their social media influencers that are co-intel or distraction or whatever it is. She's more right on than anybody.
And I think what she talks about a little bit to a certain extent is the fact that the Department of War or all of the militaries are scared that augmentation and the ability to control another human is going to get to the point where, say, another country is going to come in and try and hack humans to wreak havoc, to be doing those war things. And how do you protect yourself digitally from that aspect of being hacked? And is that the cybersecurity that they're talking about? Like, is that where they're trying to protect everybody so that they can't be hacked and hackable? Like, I don't know. And that's where I don't quite understand the technology, and we won't know until we review some of that, because maybe that is what they're trying to do, is to stop it from other countries from hacking in. But then you would think that they'd be signing rules saying rules of engagement, right? And that's where she talks about some of those rules of engagement and what exactly do they mean?
Right.
Seems like it's a pretty complicated. Oh, sorry, Booma.
No, go ahead, Max.
It seems like it's a pretty complicated kind of situation going on where there is good guys, but you know, for whatever reason, they won't talk about it, and then we're just kind of left at where we're at right now. So if someone else could talk about it, that's why Sabrina keeps saying, "Can someone else come out and talk about this?" If we don't talk about it, how are we going to address, like you said, Slimtastic? Did I say that right? Slimtastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
How are we going to address when that does happen? Because I don't know. Do they all work together? Or is there others that are trying to do good? I don't know. Trying to figure that out.
And that's why I call out so many of the grifters, and part of my exposing psyops after I learned from it firsthand and how it works. But when it comes to social media influence and the amount of people that do follow some of these people that are just spewing absolute garbage, but because it's filled with this hopium, false hope, but these ideas that white hats are saving the world, or the med beds are coming in and people are going to be cured of all diseases. I wouldn't even trust a med bed if they rolled it out at this point. I think there are good guys, but they don't see enough social, like, I'm not saying uprising, but social awareness, so that if they were to actually make a move, would they have the backing of the people, or would they just get completely slaughtered? We need numbers, I think, to make an impact, even if people were willing to make a stand, stick their boots in the ground, and live or die. Like,
but they're making it increasingly hard for us to get together because of the distances. And I think there's more of us out there that are against this than there are that are towards it, because I think that's the whole point of influencing on social media, influencing and distraction, is because there are more of us that are actually not okay with a lot of this. And I mean, you've seen it when there was people that were investigating the coronavirus stuff all throughout, and people were whistleblowing and were trying to get information out and trying to, you know, who were part of the research but didn't realize what they were part of until they saw the bigger picture. So I do think in our heart of hearts that there are people out there that don't want this to proceed, that are not okay with what some have been doing. The problem is that there's market share and there's money being made. So It's a matter of, some of it, they don't know that they're being involved in it until they're like, whoa, I didn't know that, until it's too late. Other parts, I think people who do know, like Sabrina's calling out the people who know what the heck they're doing. And when she gets on those rants, she's calling out those guys who clearly are in the top of controlling the information and what the heck is going on, of the people that are not doing it for good reasons, right? And so, I mean, I do think they're purposely hiding it, and they're purposely controlling that narrative so that we don't know that there's more of us that agree. Because I think more of us are down the middle than there are to the extremes.
And I think they've also created such a dysgenic, augmented world. Like, how do you go back from that? She talks about that a lot too. Like, how do you go back from every air molecule being on crack? How do you go back? I don't know. So the good guys are if there are any good guys left, trying to figure out what does that look like? You know?
Right, and like Mythic Lion is saying here, I mean, the good guys, I mean, they realize that what you're up against, it's basically certain death if you go against them and you don't have the leverage or the numbers or whatever. So when like Sabrina calls out people, she'll often use like nicknames, which is, you know, her style or whatever. I call them out by their freaking name. But you got people like Dr. J, not a real medical doctor, Ruby, the health ranger, Mike Adams. Then you got people that are connected to those people, like you got the Flynn networks, the Ann Vandersteels, you got the Scott McKays, the Patriot Street Grifter, as I call them, the Michael Jacobs. These people all have hundreds of thousands of people to follow them, and if they just fucking had one fucking meeting and fucking talked about coming out and exposing this, they won't, and that's part of the problem. But if they actually fucking did, you would have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all of a sudden becoming aware of where we're at now, as opposed to like, oh, it's all good, it's being handled behind the scenes, magical fairy dust, white hats are saving the world, it's all going to come out soon. They weren't doing that shit. They were actually telling you, look, human augmentation is happening. They're rolling this out. Agenda 2030 is here. They could do it at any time at this point. And he actually told people, but without fear, because there's always hope, but we have the numbers, we can at least mitigate and talk about some of the things that we can do, some of the things that we can actually take, some of the measures that we can do in order to mitigate some of these things. Maybe people would come up with even more. And especially if you got the young people that have awesome minds that understand the language of computers, that could actually leverage it and utilize it in a way where we could come up with solutions that we don't currently have because we don't have enough of the minds working on this. Sabrina's only one person, can only do so much, and she's done a shit ton already. And people always ask more. I want solutions, as if you could fucking like have us just mail you a fucking magic pill and be like, boom, fucking can't fucking connect into my body. Oh, it's tough, but that's where we're at, people. Like it's exhausting, and we like to have fun. We've had a lot of laughter. We'll continue to have that on this channel, but that's where we're at, man. And that's why we always say heart fire up, get those groovy tunes, listen to music where it breaks up some of those negative frequencies that are coming. When people are telling you about ascension symptoms, actually understand that's human augmentation. That's them connecting into your body, and it doesn't always feel good. That's why people are getting so much sickness and ailments and going to the emergency room to try to find out what's wrong. And you get to the emergency room and they don't have anything, but they definitely got a bill on the way. It's tough, man.
Well, it's a magical answer, right? Ascension symptoms. It's
makes it sound good.
Just puts it's like you have an answer for how you're feeling, and it's good enough, and then you can move on and not worry,
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they can phrase it in a way where it sounds positive, like I'm feeling like shit, but it's a good thing because we're going to 5D Earth.
Right.
Didn't you know?
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's normal.
It's like it's normal. It's like, oh, it's just like when you're detoxing, you have the Herxheimer, however you say that, Herxheimer reaction. Yeah, but you're like, but it's known that this happens, and then I'm gonna start feeling better in the next couple of days. That's what they're trying to just ease everybody through, but it's been years of this. And now you're talking about somebody like that you don't hear anybody else talking about, except for the synergist and Sabrina, talking about a biocyber interface and the things that have been unleashed with some of these things that they're doing, whether it's in the injections or whether it's being through the air, whether it's food and water, some of the stuff that they're doing with swabs. You start learning that, seeing how they're load balancing and preparing for the next phase where they will use us, and they already are to a degree. They're literally using our energy for the internet. We are more powerful than the computers that they can create. We have the kind of like capability to be. That's why they all want us 15-minute cities, because if they can project where human bodies are and use us as human nodes on a network and antennas, they can send that information to us, and then we will help push it out to wherever they need it. Your battery is just similar to the Matrix.
Exactly. I was just going to say
well,
that.
Ascension symptoms is the perfect. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Heather.
Ascension symptoms are like the perfect cover, though, because once you have an answer that satisfies you, if you will, to a degree, you stop looking.
Yep.
You don't keep searching for answers, and that
or
you just keep going back to them.
Yeah, I love how
you'll stop looking. You won't look for something like Sabrina because we want to know. That's just kind of human nature, if you will, for us to not feel good. We want to know why. And so we can fix it or whatever. But then once we get an answer, oh, it's just a cold. Oh, it's just this. Oh, it's just this. And we stop looking for answers and we move on.
Right. If your symptom is on that list of symptoms, which list all of them, you could be restless. You could be fatigued. You could have diarrhea. You could be constipated. It's like, it covers the gambit. So if your symptom is on that list, you're like, oh, okay, that's what it is. And then you just, it placates you.
And then Alex Jones got a supplement for you to take that'll help you disconnect from the machine.
Right.
Save you from the globalist takeover.
It's like, we figured it out what it was, and now we have this remedy, if you will, and the solution for you. And that's why people keep screaming at Sabrina for solutions, because all these other people are saying, oh, it's this, but I have a solution for you. Just drink this, just take this. Don't worry about it. We got you. And then the rest of it, it's the white hats. You don't need to worry about that. Just go move on. Just go ahead and move on with your life and invest in this, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, what they do is
people get used to that.
Even more to the system.
Yeah. Don't you feel like sometimes it's just, it's almost like it's going to end up being the hill that we die on, whatever that is. And I sometimes feel like since we're still talking about it and we're aware of it, that we aren't the sim. Once we become augmented to the point where we are like sims and we don't have these conversations, then I think we're captured completely. Right. But as long as we're talking about it, I feel like there's hope for us, that we're still okay right now.
It's happening quick though. It's happening now. Today it's happening. It's full speed ahead. I notice it. I notice people just, changing, coming dumbed down, watching just the de-evolution of everybody around me. And it's not with everything, it's just with certain things. So it's they definitely have a track of where it's going. So
yeah, where do you see us, Mac, in like 4 years? Where do you see us by 2030?
I don't know.
What's the world you envision in that time frame?
I think they're going to keep kind of like drip dropping it, just one thing at a time, because they have so many different options where they could go. So I think it's going to be like Sabrina says, she says it's going to be slow. I tend to agree with that. It's just going to kind of be a slow, you're not going to even really notice.
Boiling the frog, right?
Yeah, until you're there, and then, oh, shit, what do we do?
I wonder if we'll even be aware by then.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hoping we are.
Put us all to sleep right now. I think there's more people that are pushing back than maybe we realize, but people that are not talking out, and then the communities that aren't connecting to make it a bigger community as a whole. Now that everybody has to think alike, not that it's a cult, but be able to communicate and get this information out there would be great. But yeah, I think it's going to be a slow drip, but if we did wake up in the numbers, this is what we have to be prepared for, is anything. You watch some of the ways that they put it out there in these freaking movies.
Booma.
Right. That one that they put out on Netflix that was done by the Obamas.
Leave the World Behind.
Leave the World Behind. I brought it up many times. But some of the stuff they put in that were things I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah.
Think about all the autonomous things that are in the home, and then the vehicles, Teslas, in that they depicted where they jammed up all the bridges. People couldn't get away, weaponized them, turned them into weapons where they could track down humans. Now you got drones that are in the picture, but then you also had something coming from the sky, which who knows, it could be done by fucking Starlink, satellites, whatever. Maybe they have shit up there we just don't know about, and they could literally fucking just disable us with sound frequencies. And then, like I said, keep coming. What happened in Venezuela? And that's something they publicly have told us about, is that they dropped those guys and made all their freaking orifices bleed. What the fuck was that? They just disabled them. And then you have the ghost murmur. Oh, where all of a sudden they can use AI and they can track somebody up to like, what was it, fucking 40 miles, where they can find a single person's heartbeat, a long distance. And now you're telling me that there's still 150 to 230 billion dollars in human trafficking, and they can't find these people, can't find these kids, and they found one guy all this distance, and we're able to single out his heartbeat. They're telling us without telling us.
People don't get it.
Anybody is at any fucking time, and they don't.
They don't get it. I get a blank face.
No, they go into that fantastical mind of, wow, look how great the technology is, and then it stops.
Yeah, but they can't find Savannah Guthrie's mom, right?
Right.
They don't want to.
Yeah, and they don't question anything like that. It's just nobody wants to problem solve or think about reality anymore.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
It continues. And Biscuit said earlier, one of the answers is to hold people accountable and actually prosecute the treason, especially that's happened here in the United States. The United States being the fucking piggy bank of the world, feeding a lot of the money to all the freaking organizations, Ukraine, the money laundering that's going into all these different areas, the weaponry that's now being deployed, the military-industrial complex that we are helping hold up, and all this crap that's going on, which I think a lot of these wars and the shit that's going on, this is just from an observation. They're testing out all these drones, and they're testing out all these new toys, and these wars are just going on forever when they don't need to. Russia should be able to crush Ukraine. It's retarded. but they're carrying this out. They're testing it on real life people. And then what's going to happen next? Who knows? Maybe people revolt and they get so pissed off, because there is a turning of the tide in the sense that for some reason they're turning more people to the to what Trump is doing, even though you could have done this to any president. But it just so happens right now they're turning and showing the corruption of the current administration. A lot of people are getting pissed off. And then if you have a situation where even if you brought in like a Kamala Harris or someone now, AOC or whatever, there's going to be so much anger that we will step up. And then what happens? Oh, they're all ready with Palantir to come in with the surveillance state, and they will drop millions of bodies if they have to. I'm not trying to push dystopian future, but it's a possibility. Or they can drip it out. They can do either way. They can drip it out,
Right.
or they could bring sudden chaos to get the show kickstarted in a way that it would be absolutely fucking frightening.
I don't know if you guys
It would
noticed
probably
me
make-
tweak out here, but I just got a huge painful signal in my ear. So that's just
Oh.
me with my Sabrina learned matrix moves trying to get out of the way of that signal. But it is happening. It happens. I notice it happening. Not to get off on a tangent on that stuff, but you guys just watch it in real time. So
It's
I'm sure
happened to
you're-
me too. I'll hear it and
Yeah.
I'll push it
Yeah.
out, and if it won't
Me
go away, I'll
too.
get up and move. I'm
Right.
cursing at the same time. Don't
Mhm.
fuck off.
And some of that is a direct
off.
result of just being aware of what they're using against us.
Mhm.
Heather, Mac, some people that have been listening to Sabrina and learning about their biofield, and we interact with it, and we start to understand, 6 feet apart during COVID, you start to understand that the body extends farther than the physical being is. And then there's biofield concurrence. So the more of us together, that's why the classes is so awesome, because you have 40, 50. I mean, the Alabama class might have up to 200 people. Biofield concurrence of people that are actually exercising this anatomy that, like Sabrina says, has been hidden for over 100 years, and you start to utilize that. But then you do have effects, and they ain't ascension symptoms. You're starting to realize, shit, they're trying to affect me. They're trying to fucking throw me off balance. They're giving me vertigo. I got a tinnitus in my fucking ear. Like, you start to realize what that actually is. You start to have a little bit more power over your biofield, start exercising it just like you would muscles and the rest of your body. And then you have more protection that way too. Pilo rec, baby, for the win.
It does work. It is a solution. It doesn't last forever, but that's the world we live in. We just got to deal with it and
Amen.
do the best we can.
Right? Yeah, amen.
Absolutely. All right, you want to get to a little bit more of this video, or?
Yeah, let's wrap that part up so we can talk about it, Booma.
All right, let's wrap this up. I'm going to put it on 1.5 speed, if you guys can handle that. I think most of us that consume this material, we listen to things faster now so that we can get through more information, especially if Sabrina's
All
putting
the
out
time.
work and we're trying to watch what she's pointing us to. So I'm going to put it on 1.5, so at least we'll go a little bit faster and get through some more of this material, and then we'll wrap it up with a great discussion at the end is what I'm looking forward to.
But increasingly, the Nephilim, the men of renown throughout history, were philosophers, poets, kings and queens, yes, and, leaders of armies, sure, there was those. But by the time you get to Shakespeare, whether it was really William Shakespeare or a pseudonym for Francis Bacon, he certainly was not some giant beast of a man. And so, how many people that are famous figures of history that we all learned about in school were, in fact, demonized individuals who may or may not have believed they were of divine origin or divine parentage in an occult satanic family line or whatever, an Illuminati family or a bloodline background, or just involved in the occult. I think that's been way more prevalent than we might imagine. But so turning back to this sort of, the sword and sorcery kind of version of, what is it about this physical genetic hybrid theory that is so appealing or intriguing to people? That's, I think, the part that I'm now really trying to kind of nail down is like, why, beyond just the idea that like genetic purity ties right in with Zionist doctrine. I don't know, watching all this He-Man stuff and thinking about like, why, Conan the Barbarian and He-Man and Hercules, and they're doing a remake of the Odyssey right now, Christopher Nolan's new movie. On some level, people are just always drawn to the, stories about warriors and adventures and fighting monsters and all this stuff. There's something very kind of primordial about that. Like they were saying in that discernment video, it is sensual and carnal, not just in the sexual sense with like the female characters. But I mean, it's true, dude. You go and you look at any of these, like look at a Comic-Con or any type of, Renaissance fair or anything where people love excuses to get all dressed up like superheroes. Think about what a phenomenon that has become in our culture, even if, whether or not this He-Man movie is all that popular, it's kind of besides the point. Because without a doubt, people are more obsessed with the occult and with the fantasy genre than ever before, even though we're supposedly in this enlightened age of science and technology and all the rest. So I think for the Christian audiences too, there's sort of a sense in which this genetic hybrid interpretation of Genesis 6 kind of appeals to that inner fantasy science fiction nerd side of people. I mean, speaking from personal experience, I think as a recovering science fiction fantasy nerd, I'm not like above any of this. Is what I'm trying to explain, that I myself have been in a process of trying to kind of really test all things when it comes to different doctrines and eschatology and demonology or whatever Genesis 6 really is classified as. But of course, it's been very much conjoined with the UFO topic and end times prophecy, with somehow the return of the Nephilim coming in a different form in terms of genetic experimentation. And of course, during COVID, we saw a lot of people that got really fixated on the jabs and this whole idea of changing our DNA and wanting to make us something other than human, and if they can do that, you can lose your salvation. And that's like, I think seeing things like that really made me realize like how concepts like this, that they get seeded through, whatever way they kind of enter into your paradigm, your worldview. The idea of genetic manipulation being something that can like change you from a human to a demon. Like, I mean, that's really a crazy doctrine to think that the demons that are, flying around and possessing people now were once living, breathing beings who had human mothers. I think that is really kind of quite an astounding thing to allow into your heart and mind, that can really blur the lines between, humans and angels and anything that kind of blurs those lines. It's the same reason why I think the divine council doctrine of Heiser is really sus and unbiblical, honestly, because if nothing else, it definitely blurs the lines between humans and angels, and blurring the line between the lower G gods and the supreme God. And it's like, they're like the pantheon, and, there's just no reason to do that theologically, other than, I don't know what the motives are, but selling books and appealing to people's kind of sensual desire for, fantasy storytelling and world building, mythological world building, rather than like, okay, because I mean, is it really any less intense or epic if we're looking at history and the end times from this perspective of there are these evil spirits that fell and they can possess people and give them occult power, whether it's physical power, intellectual power, maybe even, the ability to sing and dance or perform and be. How many actors in Hollywood have potentially been Nephilim, particularly the quote unquote method actors who basically become they channel them and they just are them on camera and off camera, There's a lot of weird spiritual kinds of elements to the theater. Has been attached to like ancient Greece and goes way, way back. The Jesuits were really into the theater. You don't see people in the Bible really being into the theater, do you? You don't see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob like putting on plays for each other or anything like that. You don't see the Israelites doing theater. But then it's like, okay, yeah, going back to Shakespeare and Bacon, it's like the occultists have always, the Freemasons love the theater, So I think there's even, Nephilim themes to kind of explore there. The whole idea of a muse, right? In the arts, the 7 sacred sciences and the liberal arts, right? I think all these things are kind of connected to, the mystery school corpus, if you want to call it that. But yeah, it's crazy watching these clips from the new He-Man, and yeah, everything those guys were saying, it's like they were not wrong about how these things really did introduce all these concepts to a whole generation of us. Doesn't mean that we all watched He-Man and got into the occult, but I was thinking about it like, okay, this little comic book that came with the action figures, I remember reading this exact little comic book like when I was like 7. I think this was the first comic book that I ever read, so then I got over He-Man after a few years, but I continued on collecting comic books and getting into other, other Nephilim modern mythology of men with godlike powers, the Ubermensch, Superman being sort of like the prime example, right? The OG modern Nephilim of the superhuman. It's all the same idea. Everything about superheroes is basically propaganda for concept of Nephilim, of achieving superhuman or godlike powers. It's crazy too when you see all these guys who review movies and they've been kind of complaining about all the Star Wars stuff and all the woke stuff coming out of Hollywood. And then it seems like this He-Man movie is actually getting some kind of positive reviews. And it's interesting how much they're totally aware of things like the hero's journey, right? And how that's what they want to see in their movies, where you go through the whole cycle of the hero having to overcome the odds and having to face his own fears and whatever. I mean, it's like, talk about indoctrinating a whole, like millions and millions of people with the whole Joseph Campbell. I mean, this is a cult philosophy, but in a dumbed down, cheesy pop culture medium. It really is that. This is occult doctrines. Red Letter Media was like, yeah, who under the age of 45 is even interested in a He-Man movie in 2026? But it's sort of emblematic of all the stuff that has come and gone, whether it's like the whole manga phenomena and, anime and, Harry Potter, D&D, all kinds of pop culture things that have come and gone. And I mean, Stranger Things is already kind of washed out and played out, and it's on to the new thing, right? Like they're always searching for an old IP to mine and reboot, but people are hungry for the message of becoming godlike. I mean, that's what's so fascinating. It's like, this really is the false gospel of the age in which we live. The new age fantasy, the new age lie of you can be as God.
And there it is. Man, he laid it out there in the end too. Exactly.
I agree with him on the fact that is the underlying tone of everything, is that you two can be as God. same exact lie that was in the garden in the very beginning. Nothing's
Yep.
changed. And that they've used Marvel Comics and all of the different all the different superheroes to bring that about. If it wasn't superheroes, then it was you could be the most powerful witch, or you could be the most powerful this. And then if it wasn't those people, then it was things like Crocodile Dundee. Okay, it's always something more. It's not just being a normal person, right? And even the old legends about things like Paul Bunyan and things like that, and Johnny Appleseed were blown out of proportion, blown up. So I believe it's all through history, but I do believe that our particular generation has been completely socially engineered on every level to believe we need to be something besides ourselves. And I don't agree with him that it has nothing to do with it, because for me, I wasn't looking for the Book of Enoch. It was something that the Holy Spirit told me to go research, and I wasn't looking for it at all. I was actually kind of shocked by the whole Apocrypha because I had not ever read them. And we're talking 2013, so we're, 11 years ago. And God opened my eyes to it and told me that there were some people on earth that weren't human. That blew my mind. I did not know that. Okay. So, but I was not told to judge. I was not told to wipe those people off the map. I wasn't told to discount them either, because God also made it very clear to me that was the reason I had to be born again. That also came across from the Holy Spirit. So I never felt that way. However, I can see where he's saying that, because people get obsessed with the Nephilim and they don't look at anything else. And we already know from where we're at in quantum mechanics and science right now, and in molecular communication and deployment and our warfare doctrine, we don't even need any type of DNA to change somebody into something else. When Sabrina talks about the N3s, N4, N5, N6, we're talking about like Halo soldiers, okay? Things like that she's talked about. We don't necessarily know everything that's been done to their body, but I can guarantee you some of it's been done with just electricity, light, sound, perturbation, and changes at the cellular level. So I'm just saying we don't know it all. So for that reason, we have to keep an open mind that it can be done either way. But there also, free will does make a difference in it. Look at Sabrina's life too, you guys. Sabrina has fought against this. Ever since she was a little girl, she's fought against this. She does everything she possibly can to drink as much water, keep her body as clean as possible, tries to live a good life as far as keeping her body clean, always trying to heal scar tissue and old trauma so her body's as healthy as it can be. So free will is part of your epigenetics, and that's why I do believe it is not optional. It's only optional if you agree to give it up completely. That doesn't mean you can't be touched and you can't be hurt. We all know that's not true. We know we can all feel this. Well, at least us who can feel it. We can feel it. Okay. But you still have a yay or a nay in it. You still got to say. You can get up and move, like Heather said. You could sing and hum. You can pilo erect. You can ring a bell. You can do something. Maybe go over and do something you normally don't do to throw your metabolism and your epigenetics off once the digitwin's doing something it shouldn't be doing. Okay. So, and I do believe it's important, though, to see the hidden knowledge aspect of this, because it is part of our science now. It's just part of the straight up science that is. And bottom line, what they would have called magic back in the days of John Dee is now quantum mechanics. It's science. That's what it is. So it's like we have to look at that too, the time that we're living in. And God knows we're living here. He knows what's going on. And he also knows your heart. He knows whether you want to go along with this or you don't. And so we have to stand on wanting to be human and teach everybody else why that's so important, because it is. It's very important to stay human. Jesus died for humans.
Wow, they just zapped my shit. Am I here? You guys hear me?
I can hear you, Booma.
All right, they paused me for a second. I was scared that took me down. Great. Everything that you said is great. Just be careful on Crocodile Dundee, because he did not check the transgender. Crocodile Dundee in a bar in New York. They said it was a Sheila, and he walked over and just grabbed her balls and was like, "That's a man. That's what I'm talking about." I appreciate Crocodile Dundee, and we need him to go through all the Hollywood people and give them a freaking nut. See what's going on.
Nut check.
Nut check.
Sound check was different.
And I wanted to say real quick, and Miss Cajones, yes, and what Crystal said about Sabrina, also understand, like, and she doesn't talk about this stuff and put it out there and whatnot. I'm just gonna say, if you understood that Sabrina is operating on 9 out of 10 pain a lot of the time, she is a fucking warrior, and that's what people don't understand too. She might be a little upset in some of her videos. She still suffers from side effects and all the things that they're hitting her with currently, but then that they did to her when she was young. Please understand that, especially when you get to meet her in person. It's like she up on like in the front of the room and whatnot, doing all this stuff, teaching, and she oftentimes is a 9 out of 10 pain, and people just don't realize it. So back to Sabrina Wallace forever.
That's right.
But as far as the Nephilim, a lot of people don't even know about the Nephilim, or they don't think about it as Nephilim worship. These false gods, these Zeuses, Hercules, and all these ones that have been put through our history, probably by the winners, who are often the most evil, because they're the ones that plot 24/7 about how to control the fucking human race. So a lot of the history has been rewritten to make some of these things sound great, and then they push it into our popular culture, like we're seeing with He-Man now. And bringing back all this stuff, the same archetype, like that. Like I think he was put on where they're always looking for that old IP to rebring it and rebrand it and bring it.
Well, there's new kids now, Booma, so they have to socially engineer the next generation. They have to make them want to be that way too. See, and now they're losing even more as far as we're getting older, and we remember what it was like just to be a kid, just to be natural. The kids, like my grandchildren, they don't hardly remember a world without a cell phone, a computer, a laptop. So trying to explain it to them is really, really hard. It's even to a point of being scary for them. You have to encourage
take it away, and that's their reality.
Yes.
You're taking away a piece of their reality.
Yes,
right, essentially. And it's a twist. It's sick and twisted, really.
It really is.
But it's just, and a lot of the people, well, not a lot. I shouldn't say a lot. Some of the people aren't just not interested in knowing.
Yep.
No,
they just don't care. They don't want to go that deep. A lot of people don't want to think deep. I call them surface. I've been saying it my whole life. Like, everybody's just surface. Nobody wants to know. I was always the buzzkill at parties. So I want to talk about something real. I don't want to talk about your camping trip anymore, or that story you just told 10 times. You're drunk.
I relate to that, but instead of becoming the buzzkill, I just was the most drunk and out of control person that was at the party. Not always. I was just like, man, to be on this level, I got to drink more for these fuckers. I can't stand talking about this bullshit all the time. Yeah, and that was kind of how I would operate, and that's why I became such, I grew up with a lot of assholes, and became an asshole at times. And I can become an asshole pretty easily because it's just part of my makeup of growing up. But someone was saying that when they watch these commercials or these cartoons, they became Hercules, they became He-Man. Me too, man. Freaking 300 came out. I was freaking Leonidas, man. I was a fucking lion. I was going to take on the whole fucking world with my 300 army. It was just like, you see this shit, and you want to become that protagonist, that hero. And then,
absolutely.
Yeah, but when you look at the world and stuff like that, like, well, what I came to learn through my addiction and all the stuff that I dealt with is that I could not save myself. I am not God. I had to accept that I am not, and I never thought I was God, but I am not in control. I have to surrender it to something, and I would like to believe, and I tend to believe that there is a loving creator behind all this, and I surrender it to him. And what made the most sense through all the struggles that I had up and down with Christ and the stories and the gospel, man, I give it all to him, man, as much as I possibly can. And now I'm out of control character, and I have I push the line as far as like my creativity and the way that I express myself. But at the same time, when it all comes down to it, man, I pray that if I was put in a situation with a gun to my head, that I would give my my life to him. Amen. That I would Amen. Not stutter, that I would not back down, and I would just surrender.
Amen.
That's what I would want.
Mm-hmm. That was incredible, Boomer. That was good.
Bravo.
Beautiful.
I do think they don't. I mean, it's a spiritual war, right? It's not a physical war. It's a spiritual war to me. And it's like, that's why it's important to, you may lose your flesh, but just don't lose your spirit.
Right.
And I can handle losing my flesh if my spirit goes someplace else and where I can live eternally. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. This isn't the end.
Just make sure it's not in the cloud.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't want to.
That's true.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Don't
Say
go
no
looking
all the
for the
way.
light, Carol Ann. Exactly.
And don't be fooled by the temptations that are thrown at you.
Right.
We all face it just like Jesus did. It's just,
Yeah.
in different ways. Because I believe that God meets you where you're at, and so does the devil.
Yes,
They're
he
gonna,
does.
so
Yeah, and the devil doesn't
bear that in
bargain.
mind. And if
Yes, he
if I have
doesn't.
thoughts, negative thoughts, or about myself or someone else or whatever, I really take those captive. Is this
Mhm.
really coming from me? And
Right.
I don't believe it is. I'm
And
gonna focus
taking
on
your
something
thoughts
else.
captive is
At least
important.
make
The
yourself
Bible
laugh at
tells
least
you.
once a day.
Yep.
Make yourself watch something funny, even if you don't feel like laughing.
Absolutely. That's what I do.
Because I'll tell you right now.
And laugh at yourself.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Laughter is
Because
so
I laugh
important.
at myself all the time. I'm quite funny.
Laughter is important, but also getting back to the basics, reading is important. Doing
Yeah.
something besides screening all day and just learning, even if it's just walking outside for 15 minutes, walking your animal, walking your dog, going outside, spending time with a loved one, skin to skin, just loving and hugging on your grandchildren, loving and hugging on your mom and dad, whoever it is, loving people. It grieves my heart when I see these things with like the AI clones and stuff, and people talking about that they said people are more, alone and lonely now than we ever have been. Well, of course, because there's no human interaction. Nobody's within that 6 foot range of somebody else's heart. They're not. And so that's a lot of that problem. And they like that on purpose. So, as long as you can have that, you're not going to be alone. And I'm sorry, but an AI clone's not going. Our agent isn't going to give you that either. You're not going to get that from that. So what will end up happening is people will accept that out of desperation, thinking that's an answer, and then end up being worse off than they were to begin with. And it's very sad to me.
You got to be careful of the solutions people offer.
Yeah.
Take your thoughts captive. That's why the Bible doesn't tell us just to go inside and give up your ego. The Bible never tells you that. It says take your thoughts captive. Bring it all under the subjection and authority of Jesus Christ. So that means, does it agree with what God's told you to do? If God's told you to love him the most and love your neighbor, is what's just got injected into your head, did that come from your thoughts, or was it injected? That's something else to think about in the time that we're living in. So keeping your thoughts captive, being vigilant over your mind and your body, but not to the point of fear, to the point of having situational awareness.
Right. Stay
No fear.
sober-minded.
To be able
No
to look
fear.
at all the stuff that we're up against and have no fear. No, it's not easy. And I'm not saying I have anxieties and I get fearful at times. But having this community gives me more power and hope just from the bioelectric concurrence that happens when we have these conversations and the interactions that we have, whether it's even on Telegram. Some of us talk to each other, connect with each other, text with each other, DMs, whatever it is. You get strength in numbers. And then Jesus said that where two or more are gathered, there I am. And always be working on renewing your mind. So if you're going through a period where you're just feeling down or you're dragged down or you're getting sucked into we spend a lot of time with whether it's family and friends and stuff like that, that it's good to have those that time and whatnot. But when you need to be recharged and re-energized, that's when you need to come back to this kind of stuff and renew your mind and work on what fulfills you, because without you taking care of yourself and having that self-care, you're good to no one.
Right.
Yeah, you have to find things that make you happy too. Find joy in the face of the adversities that you face. I mean, it's a real thing, and it does help. And you can't, staying in a constant fear of, constant state of fear and depression and things like that, and unplugging, because when you're constantly on a screen, that makes you depressed too, and you get stuck in these cycles. Unplug, go outside barefoot.
Unplug from the social medias, because I was gonna say it was ironic that even during the COVID thing, it came to me a kind of an epiphany that it was like each one of the social media icons, if you took a look at the actual icons, they kind of were in the colors of the freaking chakras, and each one of those icons kind of coincide with how it's the opposite of what it is to build those chakras. So, like, for example, Snapchat's yellow. Well, Snapchat is basically, the yellow would be your solar plexus, and everybody's constantly trying to put up filters and change the way that they look because they're not happy with who they are inside. And it's like you could almost see some of those social medias being the depletion of the opposite of building up your soul.
That's the goal.
And it was like,
right?
whoa.
It's right there in your face.
Yeah. And I've never been big on socials, but in the same aspect I did for my job, I was on socials for a job. But then in the same aspect, if I didn't have to be on there, choose not to. Choose to walk away from the social medias.
Yeah.
Don't death scroll.
Find something you enjoy doing that makes you feel, whether it's listening to a song and singing or what, dancing, whatever it is.
Choose Violins by
Choose Violins, yeah.
Yeah, that is good.
And it's, you know, I'm not, in some ways it's a shameless plug, but at the same time, I'm legit saying, like, man, I use it for all kinds of stuff now.
It's really, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's an amazing job.
I'll pull it up so people know what we're talking about that don't know, but
yeah.
AMK, go ahead. I know you were trying to say something.
I just have always thought through this whole thing, when you let yourself give into the fear and you let it take over you and then you become paranoid, you're just feeding the beast.
Yeah.
And the only way to not feed the beast is to starve it. And you have to starve it with laughter and with not letting fear take over your entire life. Live, enjoy things, have joy in your life, but don't feed that beast, because it's the negative that feeds that beast.
Amen.
Yeah, and if you're feeling depressed already, don't listen to depressing music or watch like the news and shit like that. Do the opposite of that.
Right.
Okay. Then when you're feeling happier, maybe you can, you know, choose to, if you're in a better frame of mind, you know, but
Choose Violins.
Well, I know for me,
violins, no matter what, though, no matter what mood you're in.
I'm telling you, man, it's sick.
Sounds like gypsy music. What is that?
Oh man,
it's almost a combination between techno and violins. It's so freaking cool. It's something my kids would totally be down.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Biscuits put a bunch of different things together, and I think it took him like 5 hours to render that thing because he did it old school. The way that this dances with the music, it's old school, so it's just frame after frame after frame. And so it's like, dude, it's just fucking sick. He took like old classicals and remixed them or something. The way he did it, freaking awesome. And it helps for focus, but I've been using it like also to work out and then just get my piloerection. And he's got a new one coming. And there is pedesteroids in the arcade. Like we're talking about, like if you need some good, like quality, like stuff that also points to truth, you get to play as the Federal Blackmail Institute, which is the FBI, and you're trying to cover up evidence, and it just keeps on coming. So in the GGCO arcade, he's adding all kinds of stuff. So we're talking about getting more kids involved and whatnot. We're trying to come up with new ideas there too. So just want to throw that in there. But Choose Violins, brilliant. Sorry, I didn't want to cut out the conversation, but I thought that was a pertinent thing to share.
No, and there's other sources of good music that are positive, that are, you know, to get you out of that funk, like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be music, but yeah, it's watching a funny show. It's getting that laughter back into your life, doing something fun, going out and being a kid again, you know, and having those experiences where you're just having fun, right? And disconnecting from the tech. Because like, I can tell you, my family has more fun when we're out camping where we have no Wi-Fi, we have no, and we actually have conversations. We have great conversations, and you have fun playing the old school games like cornhole, and you know, and you're laughing and you're joking. And so doing more of those things where you're actually interacting with people and not people online. You know, I think that's a huge one.
Right.
Getting that heart coherence, right?
Right. And we're going to be disconnecting here from this pretty soon, but this is the kind of conversation, if you're going to do stuff online, man, this is the stuff I love talking about, because
absolutely,
I think it is some of the most important stuff to at least be.
You should tell Biscuits about the 8. Liz put up an 8-hour fiddle and violin contest that was done. And it's all different kinds of fiddle and violin. It's beautiful. I went back and just skimmed through and listened to some of the songs. It's a competition. It's amazing. It's on YouTube. I'll have to send you a link to it. It's really good.
8 freaking hours of these people going up on stage.
8-hour competition. 8 hours of different fiddle music and violins from all over the country.
That's amazing. All right.
I want to shout out Mythic Lion in the chat too for next level solutions and thinking. If you really want to,
being amazing.
If you really want, if you want to tackle this head on, if you're ready for that, you should definitely try to keep up with what he's putting down. It's pretty impressive. So
I try to highlight some of the stuff he's been putting in there today, and then so I think a lot of you guys are operating more in like a synergy Telegram, and if people are on Telegram or want to get in there, you're going to come through the BOOMA community first, and we'll vet you and we'll put you through the gauntlet. But then come August, synergy will open up a little bit more. Heather will put you through the D-Minded BOOMA song gauntlet. Kind of joking, but not really. We want to make sure that the quality people are being vetted so that no more mayhem happens over there. But then if you go to the classes, they're getting you signed up. But yeah, Mythic got some great stuff. I'd love to have Mythic on if they ever wanted to come on. Trying to get Finding K Factor and that work.
Absolutely.
That's lining up here soon. Him and Sabrina coming on. Some of you guys have way more than I could ever share, and I would just be honored to be able to host these spaces. And guys like Mac, now that you're getting involved in this, man, like watching the community grow with like just quality conversation and people. I'm stoked, man, to be able to just host this kind of a thing. So thank you for being here.
We appreciate you hosting because giving us a platform to speak and share.
Yes, thank you, Dorian. This community is my family. I mean, you're the only sources of connection I have to like-minded people, and God's timing. I needed this most at a certain time in my life, so I look forward to just being a part of something. It's important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think
we
it's
wouldn't
not
be able to
necessarily
do this if it wasn't for you and Sabrina really providing these platforms.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you both so much.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I don't necessarily know if it's like-minded people that were so cultic. You know what I mean? I don't want to put that out there, but in the same aspect, it's a place where people who have the ability to think and ask questions, who get that experience of asking those questions with people who have differences of opinions for the purpose of understanding.
Yep, absolutely, Slam.
And we can talk to each other like adults. What's that like?
I know, right? Who does that anymore?
Yeah. And we can agree to disagree for real, you guys, and walk away.
Right.
And we're not screaming at each other. We're just having a discussion about it.
Truth.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means asking questions, and sometimes that's agreeing to disagree, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and celebrating each other.
Too. Yes, we'd be so boring if we were all exactly like ourselves.
That's what I mean. We'd be boring if we were all the same.
Would be. Can you imagine a whole room full of JKs or crystals or boomas? It would be insane.
We'd never learn anything.
Oh gosh, a whole room with me. I mean, the numbers would just tank. I mean, how many times can I bring up the internet of booty beads and all that kind of stuff? I mean, just joking. It would be awesome. No, I'm just playing. But this is great. And I think and I've said it many times, but I just love picking on real people. I'm not going and trying to grab the influencers, the people that are hosting podcasts, stuff like that. I'm not trying to join the freaking networks. I'm trying to create a network of people that just want to have something to say, because so many people are out there and they're living in their lives. They feel alone, but they've been doing all this research. They resonate with stuff that Sabrina Wallace and some of the other stuff that's going on in the world, and they see it and they want to talk about it. And I want to be able to host that. We just got to do it in the right way. So this has really transformed the idea. Originally for BOOMA STREAMA was me to open up a space for anybody that opposed me to come on and talk some shit. And then I had people come on and I was like, dang, this is turning more into a community chat. That's cool. And then I started having people on, like anybody could come on kind of a thing. And then I could see how people were steering the narrative. So I learned that lesson. And now I'm having just people on that are a little bit more involved in the community, see in the live chat, seeing the Telegram, see in the other places. And it's a beautiful thing to see people find their voice, because you don't have to be someone internet special. You don't have to feel like you're somebody that has like all the answers. You just got to be a normal person willing to have the conversation. That's it. That's
right.
At the
And
end of
all
the day,
of
we're
us
all
are
just
very much worried and not worried, but concerned, because we talk about these things like human augmentation because it's already been going on. It's already been deployed. And too many normal population people don't have a clue about any of it. And everything's changing. Medicine is changing faster than we can imagine. Okay. I've been a nurse 26 years. I just went to a physical where they drew my titers for everything from measles, mumps, and rubella, DPTs, like you get when you're a kid, diphtheria and pertussis, and told me that I was welcome to take all the vaccines if I wanted them. Of course, I'm not. But I'm just saying, they were willing to give me every single vaccine from chickenpox, MMR, Hep B, all of them. All of them.
in one sitting.
Yes.
Oh my
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Not a big deal anymore because they're drawing titers for all your childhood diseases. Never had that done since I was a kid. Hello. Had my Hep B titers drawn before once, about 10 years after nursing school. That's it. So it's definitely changing. Not just that, even in the hospital, there's a lot of tech that's changing, I've been noticing. So that too. And it's going to continue to ramp up rapidly, like Max said. And I do believe there's a part of this that definitely wants to ambush. And I believe that they want to do it in America, because if they capture America, well, there goes the rest of the world. That's the truth. It is what it is.
Right.
I would
And
have
Mac
to agree
also
with
said,
you.
though, that it would also be like a slow rollout. So people like us that are aware, we see how fast it's going, but the rest of the world is getting cooked like the frogs that are in that,
So
whatever
keep
container
dropping
where it's slowly.
seeds. Keep dropping seeds, people, because other people are starting to notice. I've noticed that there are, for every NPC person, as Mac would say, right, Mac? For every one of those people, there's somebody else who has an intuitive mind that's going, wow, it wasn't that way even a year ago. Why are they doing that? And those are the people that you can still wake up, get a hold of, shake them a little if you got to. No, I'm just kidding. But love on them and tell them, you know what, things are really changing, and it's not just talk. It's already deployed. It's coming your way. It'll hit you either economically, financially, healthcare, or maybe just walking down your sidewalk, you're going to notice a change. We have to start really putting that out there. And for every single person. That's why last year I spent so much time with all of my elderly patients, just trying to love on them and tell them ways to untether so that they weren't as connected, and things to be looking for, and being more situationally aware. Because if you think our generation's bad, the generation before us, and boy, even our grandparents, were very much socially engineered to believe that the men in the white coats have all the answers. You know nothing, they know everything.
Yep.
And we are enough because God made us. We don't need to be anything else.
Here's something comical to look for if you want to know if somebody what neighbors are NPCs. I've heard this and I've checked it out myself, and I'm like, oh my God, they're all NPCs. If they, have you ever seen them bring groceries into the house? If not, they could be an NPC. And I have never seen any of my neighbors bring groceries into the house. So.
That's hilarious.
Look, they'll never watch this, and I'm not trying to be an asshole because I love my family, but my sister's family gets it delivered right to their door. They ain't bringing no groceries in from the car. And they don't watch this shit. They don't watch this
getting
shit.
groceries.
I love them to death, but they ain't watching my shit. And they're getting their groceries delivered right to their fucking door. And then they complain.
I'm like Crystal. I gotta pick out my own groceries. I'm sorry, I don't want
my own whatever it is. I gotta have my hands on it, look at it. Yeah, I can't do that.
I'm the same.
Brianna does that. My daughter does that. She's either that or it's Target drive-through. She'll drive up to Target and they'll load the back of her car and she'll drive off. She does that all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the new things.
But I've also seen her get ripped off horribly, where they pick out just whatever, right?
But they keep doing it because it's just more. It's more I think it's comforting to just have that done instead of going
and
through
convenient.
Well, there's many reasons for it because I'm guilty of that, and a lot of it's because of due to my injuries.
That's a part of it too, right? It's there's a convenience factor to it.
My
I mean, a lot of the
grandparents
stuff
used to
that
have
they
it
put
done 'cause
out there
you know.
that is tempting, it also does have like certain benefits and whatnot.
Right, but they do rip you off
I go
though.
to the store, I hurt like hell when I come home. I'm in so much pain after going
Right.
Right.
Well, and sometimes I got during the time when everybody is really pushing the masks and stuff, and where it was on TV where it's like, you don't deserve to live if you don't do this and that. I didn't want to be around nobody. It was better that I didn't. So I would just order my shit and I would go pick it up, deal with one person, and get the F out of there.
I'm so not that way. I went in looking for somebody to say something. I was like, go ahead, tell me to put the mask on to go in the store. I just
I don't know. That was just my situation at the time. And plus, and when I had it delivered, it was because I just couldn't go and I could have somebody fill up my car. I wouldn't necessarily, I could even have somebody help me,
Love you guys.
Love you, Em. Thank you
But
for
then
being
when
here.
I get home.
Take care. Good talk. Good talk.
Bye, Em.
Oh, bye, love.
Right.
Boom, I got to go too. I love you guys. I got
Love
a
you
house
too.
full of grandchildren and I got to go to the grocery store. So,
All right. Well,
I gotta get
before
taking a kiddo to the city, so
we
Y'all,
love
I've been trying to shut this thing down for a little while.
Right?
All right? Stop talking.
We're
for a
doing it
second. I need to
naturally.
check in real quick with Mary and make sure that the hummingbirds didn't murder her. Yay! She's alive. Thank God.
There you go.
How you doing, Mary?
I'm good. I had to go in for a while and plug in my laptop. Then I came back out, so I never saw a hummingbird.
Okay,
The
good.
name of the
You're
tool you
alive and
keep
well.
referring to is the discombobulator.
The discombobulator?
Yeah, the Maduro one where they bled from their
Yes.
eyes. And that was a vibration tool.
Right. Everything's frequency, everything's energy.
Yep.
It's scary with the technology that they actually have. The one they've depicted in certain movies, like Leave the World Behind, it just comes down, it'll shatter glass, but it's like it'll just overwhelm your auditory. So I don't know if you could even get muffs that would cover it, but probably also your frequency of your body getting hit with this thing just freezes you and like makes you like tense and tighten up. I can only imagine the kind of stuff that they could unleash on us. But do you have, Mary, any parting words as we close up here?
No, thanks for having me on.
Thank you
I
for being
enjoyed
here, Mary.
being part of it.
Absolutely. And then we'll go back to Dawn. You have any parting words? You've been here for a while and like you started joining these groups and it's just so lovely to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I love this community. I look forward to being here and just chatting it up with you guys and just learning because, sometimes life sucks and it's nice to have other people you can talk with. So I appreciate all of you. I love you all and, God bless.
Thank you, Dawn. And Slamtastic, final words. What do you got?
I ain't gotten anything like important. I don't know. I think this group is just amazing to be able to have these open conversations and to be able to have those disagreements where you can literally just talk it out and be like, that was not the intention of this. Let's have a conversation. Like there was some strife in the BOOMA chat and I love that let's talk it out. Let's figure it out. It's not on purpose, right? And I think that's what I think everybody brings to this community is the fact that they're genuine. We really are not out here to piss people off or to make people upset. It's about learning. It's about education. It's about understanding, understanding. And so I appreciate everybody from Synergy and all the different opinions. Because I wouldn't be learning about God now if it wasn't for Crystal and if it wasn't for JK and people in the community who do talk about God and AIM. I would have never have had that understanding of the Bible. And that's, to me, that's just as important.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. I love you joining these panels and I'm looking forward to hearing some more sound healing when you get back to it. Maybe you could even sing to us at some point, but I don't want to put you on the spot unless you wanted to.
Well, I am on Spotify.
Oh, you're on Spotify? Oh shit! Be sharing that. We'll be getting that out to y'all. We can pin that into the comments and check her out. She's got a freaking lovely voice. So if you got that on Spotify, I have no idea. We'll get that out there. And then in closing, Heather, would you like to wrap it up? Say a little something.
Oh, I just appreciate everybody being here and continuing the conversation. And I'm looking forward to more. It's beautiful to me. And I tend to agree with pretty much most of what everybody says. We're all kind of in similar situations. And it's just really nice to have a community where I feel like I can be myself and be appreciated. And I just want to continue that, to celebrate each other, our gifts.
Right. Yeah.
Show love.
Yep, we said it before. Heather's running a women's group, and it's working out really well. As you can see, there's a lot of coherence happening. So when there's conversations happening, everybody's like, "Amen, amen," and they jumping in because everybody's kind of getting on that same wavelength, and that really helps when you're having these conversations. Is people just can like jump off of each other and continue the conversation that's ongoing. One show ends, we got another one coming up. We look forward to catching you on that. And it continues. But thank you, everybody that was on the panel, everybody that was in the live chat. We love you all. God bless. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.